This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Hey, you? Yeah, I'm talking to you, sassy girl. Need a little in your step? Try this on for size. It's pop. It tastes great. It makes you feel kind of funny. Not here, not down there, but all up in this area. And coming
July 2018.
Jumbo Pop.
Talking Pop.
Sick and tired of hearing all these people talk about what's the deal with this pop life and when is it gonna fade out? The thing you got to realize what we're doing is not a trend. We got the gift of melody, we're gonna bring it till the end. Come on now.
Place to Be Nation. This is Talking Pop. Hey, I'm Jennifer Smith. I am here with my co-host. His name is Timothy Buckshit Junk Cable. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Jennifer. Or should I say, hi, Nova Janus. I am Olympia Avalanche. Welcome to Amazing Adult Fantasies. Once again, I am putting over my favorite YouTube channel, which is Novimpia. They need more subscribers. And
subscribe.
We, as a show with fewer listeners than they have subscribers, I'm going to go ahead and put them over and try to get them subscribers, but from a different medium, perhaps. So, yeah, check out Novimpia once again. And we have a very special guest tonight. I believe it is Charmaine Diamond Scheidt, otherwise known as whom, Jennifer Smith?
Well, this is a lady that is well known, I think, to Place to Be Nation members, and a close personal friend who I met in New Orleans, of course, because all of our guests come from New Orleans.
Triggered. Reported. Blocked.
Her name is Stacey O'Loughlin. Is that correct, Stacey?
That is correct.
All right.
Hey, guys.
I nailed it. Take that, JT. Hi, Stacey. Thank you for coming on Talking Pop to talk fuck shit junk with us.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I am just quivering with excitement to be on here.
I like it.
Sure. All right. So,
I wonder what the over-under was on mentioning New Orleans.
Well,
between the two of us.
I just did that for Scott, for the PIC.
Yeah.
We get in
You gotta
trouble
trigger
for
somebody
this.
who likes
Yeah, we'll get a flag thrown down, I think, for that. But we'll see where the night takes us, and hope we still have a show at the end of it.
But see, it's relevant in this case, right? I mean,
It is.
Because Stacey obviously is Australian, and she made a trek to our great country, and New Orleans was one of her stops. We met in person. We had a fantastic time at Mania. So, it's not some sort of weird thing. It's a legit thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's relevant.
It's relevant to our relationship and to this conversation.
Yeah. We're close personal buddies that met, 2 months ago.
Right, which you can't say about a lot of people that you podcast with, honestly,
That's
especially
true.
from Australia.
That's true.
I like Tim. I've never met Tim in person, so when I do, I will bring that up, and we'll have a crazy story, I'm sure, in the event of that. Which I'm trying to talk him into, several different things, and he's just no-selling me. It's just ridiculous. I don't get it. Do you not want to meet me, Tim?
I do want to meet you, but I don't want to sit in 35-degree weather in New York and pouring, freezing rain in early April, which it's going to be for WrestleMania, again, in New York/New Jersey. I've been there. I don't have a lot of desire to do that again. And it's nothing personal. It's just, give me another Sunbelt WrestleMania, man.
I'll let Steph know, and maybe we can work it out.
Please do.
Yeah, her and I are real tight.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, Stacey, I hope you're ready for, and I hope you're willing to indulge us for lots of ignorant questions about Australia and your experiences here stateside as well.
Absolutely. I'm, nothing if not indulgent towards ignorance about Australia. Well, I had to be when I was there.
So let's start with that. Take us on your tour of America. Like, where did you start? Where did you end up? Where did you hit?
Oh, well, I hit a bunch of places. Mm-hmm. I went to Honolulu first. I stopped over there, basically.
Oh, man.
Nice.
So I had time to go to Pearl Harbor and see all that stuff, because I love history. And then time to get lost in the center of Honolulu before I made my way back to the airport, thank God. Which was a good start, basically. It's pretty standard. I don't know why I thought I'd be able to, travel in a foreign country by myself when I'm, the dumbest person alive. But, then I hit New York, which was freezing, as I recall. But I hit New York. I went to a Knicks game. I went to a Yankees game, which I was very excited about, because I love the Yankees. I like baseball. And saw a whole bunch of New York stuff. Ate some pizza. New York,
I know.
Homeless people.
So much of this could be a podcast in itself, I feel.
Right.
Buildings.
Cars.
Lots of old buildings. Uh-huh. People.
Yeah.
People being grouchy. I had, the grouchiest, server that I've ever had in my entire life in New York, which seems like it was, that's pretty standard. I hit DC for a day. I made sure to squeeze that in because I am a huge nerd and I really wanted to see all the White House and political stuff in the middle of DC. And I also met in DC Matt D, who was someone from Pro Wrestling Only that I've been friends with for a long time, who was the first actual wrestling friend that I had actually met in real life.
Oh,
before I even got to New Orleans. So
how did that go?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed meeting Matt. We had lunch together, and then he went back to work, and it was nice. He's cool. He's a cool dude.
Did he live in D.C.?
Yeah, he lives in D.C. He works in D.C.
Okay, that is not far from me at all. Perhaps we should connect.
Well, there you go.
Oh, you're going to meet Stacey in person. I see how it is.
Okay, let's not change the subject.
Uh-huh.
Well, and then I went to a little town called New Orleans, and we all know what happened there.
We know. Some people know all of what happened there. I mean, Well, Scott's on the case. He's going to figure it out.
Accepted.
Scott is on the case. This is true. Yeah, I believe he was compared to Leslie Nielsen getting to the bottom of the fake Undertaker situation in 1994.
I understood that reference. God damn it!
I know you did.
There are
He's one of us now.
Yeah, I am. The few and far between there.
Look, Jenny learns wrestling. Stacey, one question while we're on New Orleans.
Yeah.
Did you eat alligator? And did you enjoy it?
I did not, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
The one thing, if there's one possible complaint I have about being in New Orleans, which I really don't have any because it was awesome, but the one thing is that I was so busy all the time with you guys and with wrestling stuff that I actually didn't have enough time to appreciate New Orleans itself and eat some food. I really didn't eat enough food in New Orleans. And, that's the only thing. I'd want to go back and actually, eat the food and see what's actually there. Because I didn't get to eat alligator or, I had... I don't even know what I had. I had po' boys and, I don't even know. I had Jake's jambalaya.
Oh,
which I'm counting as New Orleans food.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though, because when you're in New Orleans for, a dedicated event, be it wrestling or a business trip or anything else, really, it is hard to take in the full scope of the city, which is a shame because New Orleans is a city, an American city with just a ton of culture. It's not just like I don't mean to shit on like Chicago, for example, but I mean, if you're in Chicago, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you can take in the sights and sounds, be there for whatever, and sort of get the experience and not need those extra few days of sightseeing. But I feel like in a place such as New Orleans, you really do. You want to be able to sit down and just breathe for a minute. And so, I've been there all of twice in my life, but it's a place that I still want to go back to because I know I haven't gotten the full experience. So, but I'm glad you were there and got to enjoy some of what it has to offer, for the time you were.
Oh, yeah. But I'd go back too.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Now, I have a similar question for you, kind of taking it back to Australia and keeping with the theme of ignorant questions. Have you eaten crocodile? Do you guys eat crocodile?
I don't know if we eat crocodile, actually.
Okay.
I can't say that for sure. I haven't, obviously. I'm not sure if we do. We eat kangaroo.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. We eat kangaroo.
What does that taste like?
Kangaroo, it's sort of, it looks like red meat, and it functions as red meat, but it sort of tastes a little bit gamey, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of that. So like that's, yeah, it tastes nice. I enjoy it. And when I was in Tasmania recently, and we actually ate wallaby as well. Oh. Wallabies are like the little mini kangaroo type of thing.
It's like the veal to kangaroo.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So yeah, no, we eat kangaroo. I'm not sure about crocodile, actually. I haven't really heard of that, if we eat that.
If you'll eat
alligator. I've never tried to eat a crocodile. Maybe I'll just go.
You've never tried. You need to try to eat a crocodile sometime,
But you gotta catch it yourself. That's.
Oh yeah. Like Steve Irwin style,
right? If you're in Australia.
Well, we do that all the time.
Yeah. I must think of kangaroo being similar to deer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Stacey?
Yeah.
As I asked Stacey, like, you've eaten deer, venison before, but south, of course.
I've eaten venison, so yeah, it is like that. Yes, that's how I describe it.
Okay.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Alligators, I mean, as far as taste, they, to me, it's sort of similar texture-wise to a scallop, but
right.
in terms of what it tastes like is more just kind of sausage, kind of meaty, pretty good, but a little bit greasy, so it's not like you can eat a lot of it. But alligators themselves, they seem like the smaller, stoner version of crocodiles. They just kind of swim.
I'll pay that.
Yeah, swim around all day. They eat marshmallows and hot dogs and get fed by people. They're playing Fortnite and
Alligators are cool as fuck, yo.
They're cool. Now they do sometimes try to eat people, but right. I mean, usually they can't be bothered. They just kind of give up. It's too much work.
They're the Tim Capel of animals.
They really are. That's why they're my favorite animal, actually.
You can relate to the alligator. Yeah, that's true, actually, because like there's a reptile park that I've been to twice in the past 12 months, for some reason, and you see the alligators, and there's like a giant pond full of alligators. There's like 20 or 30 of them, and they're all just hanging in their pond together, having a good time, off in their little friendship groups, and then you see them get fed. And then you go over to the crocodile enclosure, and it has a sign on it. It's like, this is... Oh, his name is Elvis. This is Elvis, the world's crankiest crocodile. And he's like this giant, fat, like gigantic crocodile. And he just like moosies around and just like, and when his jaws snap, it's just like so terrifying. And it's like the poor handler's in there like feeding him stuff. And he's just like, yeah, like, he could probably just bite my arm off right now if you wanted to, but it's fine.
Elvis can just kill you without even trying.
Yeah, like he could grab me and kill me now if he wanted to, but like hopefully he's in a good mood today, and you know, it's just...
My God, I love it. This is my favorite story. And you know, the alligators, of course, are just like chilling, going, man, what the fuck is up with those crocodiles? They're just so high strung, and God, they need to chill out.
Exactly.
All right, now
So, yeah.
keeping it in the vein of food, Stacey, I need you to talk to me about biscuits.
Yes.
Biscuits, my new favorite food.
Yeah.
I love biscuits. I didn't know what they were when I got to America. Like, I understood vaguely that they were some sort of like side thing that you have with meals, but I didn't really know what it was made of or what it consisted of or what it was like. And so that's why, like, I remember you telling that story of like when we were in the chicken joint in New Orleans the first night, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Because I didn't know what it was. And you're like, that's a biscuit. And I'm like, oh, that's a biscuit. And then I ate it, and I was like, holy shit, this is delicious. This is like it's like a little savory scone that you have with, like, with food.
Scone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, I don't know how many scones you eat in America, but like that's like scones are like biscuits but sweet, and you have them as dessert. Like, so I mean, you know, so they're great. And me and my friend finally, I've been searching since I got home. Me and my friend found a joint in Sydney that serves like American style food, and they do biscuits. And now I eat there all the time.
You just went to town, right? It was like
just to eat a biscuit. Like, I don't even need like the actual chicken or like actual meal. I just give me a pile of biscuits. I love them. They're great.
They are
so
great.
Awesome. Jenny, were you taken aback when Stacey asked you, like, what the fuck is that? And you're going, what do you mean? Like, what is what?
You know,
I must know what a biscuit is.
I don't think that I was in on that conversation initially, but like, because we were all sort of like grouped together, and I didn't have a seat, I was standing up, so I didn't hear it initially, and then it just kind of swept across the little group, like, Stacey doesn't know what a biscuit is, and like, then it like de-evolved into us all like just watching her eat a biscuit.
Yeah.
I think I was with Nick and Justin, I think, and maybe John Hollywood when it came up. That's what I was eating with, and it just, there you go. Now I'm biscuit lady. So.
Well, that was the most shocking thing to me to come out of that trip, I think, is that...
That was the most shocking thing?
Okay, well, food-wise, it was definitely the most shocking.
Right.
Wow, that's really narrowing it. But, I mean, it's just sort of like, it seems that even if you didn't call them biscuits, you would have some version of biscuits in Australia, you know?
But we don't. Like I said, like we have, like, we eat the exact same sort of piece of food as a biscuit, but we call them scones, and they're like they're a dessert because they're basically the same thing when you make them. It's just that biscuits are a little more savory and scones taste a little bit sweeter because they're a sweet. But like, we don't have biscuit. Like when we go to KFC, like, or like, you know, get fried chicken, there's no biscuits there. We just get chips with them. Like, it's just, it doesn't exist in this country.
Which are fries, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean fries. This is gonna keep happening.
Yes, thank you.
This is gonna keep happening. That
boggles my mind, though, because you had mentioned KFC. You've mentioned KFC and just some of the discussions we've had, and I'm like, you know, when we, Jenny and I, think of KFC, it's like, okay, you're going for some chicken and some biscuits. You're always going to get some biscuits at KFC. You know, that's kind of half of what you show up for, to be honest. So,
well, exactly, would be for me.
I cannot believe that they would not offer that, you know, around the world.
They don't exist.
Oh, it's
amazing.
Yeah,
it's kind of
think about how inferior KFC is in Australia. No biscuits.
Well, and I mean, I've had scones before too, and they're either, like you said, kind of on the sweeter side, or they're just like dried up pieces of shit. which no one really wants. It's just kind of there. You know, if you have to eat something, it's like, okay, well, it's this or I'll die. But
how dare you disparage the good name of the scone?
I agree.
I'm sure they're much better. I'm sure they're much better in your country / continent. I have no doubt.
I think they are. We know how to make them, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. We really don't.
Something else I was going to ask you or touch on in New Orleans, which is wrestling related, but you got to meet, besides the stellar PTBN crew, you got to meet some amazing ladies. Who all did you meet?
Oh, I met, you mean at WrestleCon, I met a bunch of the women wrestlers, right? Oh, I have a laundry list of women that I met that day. I met Trish Stratus and Lita. I met Victoria, Tori Wilson, Kelly, Gail Kim, Melina, who else? Taryn Terrell, who, from TNA, Vicky Guerrero and her daughter, Shaw, Teddy Long I met, and Terry Runnels. And I met Jack Swagger as well. Yeah, that might be it, I think. But yeah, that was all the ladies. Oh, and Beth Phoenix. I forgot about Beth Phoenix, yes. Yeah, I think that might be it. So I met a whole bunch of my favorite humans on the earth.
Yeah.
As y'all are about to find out.
Oh, yes. Well, before we get into that, because I definitely want to dive deeper, hint, into this subject, I think we have one more ignorant Australia question.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you live in a place that doesn't exist? I think you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean, and I can't believe someone finally figured it out, man. They've got us. You got us. I admit it. We don't exist.
Oh my
Australia
God.
is bullshit.
The hoax of Australia.
Finally,
the greatest hoax perpetrated in history.
You're a brave whistleblower, my friend.
Well, the secret's out.
Right?
Some Sheila on Facebook blew the whistle, and now we're all fucked. So the jig is up.
God damn it.
We are between a rock and a hard place on this podcast, talking about not only New Orleans, but blowing the lid off of this Australia conspiracy. But let's.
And the thing is, this theory comes up. Australia is a hoax, and my first thought about it is yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
I can believe at this point that my life is some sort of top secret government DARPA conspiracy. I mind control thing. I can believe that. But also, Australia itself is just so fucking ridiculous.
Sure.
That, it probably is too good to be true. There's just, we have our own, come on, guys. We have our own continent, far away from everybody else. It's just all nice weather all the time, lots of beaches, and everyone's nice and chill and friendly, and we all just, we're all laid back, and we just play sport and drink beer all the time. What kind of bullshit utopia is that?
When you put it that way, but then also you have to factor in the most horrific and dangerous animals and insects and nightmare fuel that exist on the planet.
That's what I think of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I think about that is that when they were having... See, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't stop thinking about the meetings that went into planning this whole thing.
Right.
Right? Some guy sitting there in the meeting going, guys, listen, right, I got it. I have an idea about the animals, all right? Let's just go fucking nuts with the animals. Let's see how much bullshit people will swallow about animals, right? Okay, first of all, every animal on Australia will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That's first of all.
Right.
Even the insects, even the spiders, just fucking everything. Using death trap. And guys, I have some ideas for some stupid animals, okay? Hear me out. Like, imagine, like, a giant 6-foot rat that stands up and has long, floppy feet and a long, floppy tail. It likes boxing and working out, and it gives birth and then puts the baby in its pocket. Boom.
It shits a baby out into a hole in its chest.
I call it a kangaroo. Oh, and guys, I got another one, right? Like a tiny little cuddly teddy bear.
Oh no.
That's too lazy to move, but will murder you, and it has chlamydia. Oh.
Why does it have chlamydia?
I don't know, but it's an actual fact. Like, pretty much all koalas have chlamydia.
Oh God.
That's an actual fact.
It's a made-up fact about a made-up place that doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, it's made up, but like it's a real made-up fact that koalas have chlamydia. That's how we made them.
Right.
Oh my Lord! You got jellyfish also that can not only kill you, but are so small you can't even really see them, right?
Oh, I fucking hate them. Like, I mean, like the ones that kill you, like I, obviously do not like, but like it's very rare to come across them at the beach. But fucking blue bottles, which don't kill you, but just sting the fuck out of you and are just really annoying. Oh. They are everywhere. Like, I don't know if y'all have them in America, but like we have blue bottles all over the fucking beach, and they are everywhere, and they are shit. And you don't notice them until you fucking step on them. And they like got these long tendrils, and they just like wrap around you and sting you, and they are fucked. They are the piece of shit.
And then, like, if you can brave all the jellyfish, then you have, like, gigantic great white sharks on your gorgeous reef there, and, all in the waters.
And you have to punch them, and...
Right, yes. But
they're all... daily occurrence,
They're all on Shark Week right now, so, like, you don't have to worry
they're up in America, so we don't even have to worry this week. Yeah, it's fine.
We're dealing with all the... We're trying to keep the sharks entertained this week, but... We're doing our best. I mean, at some point, they're going to get a hankering for some Australian blood and head back your way. I mean, we try to stop. Yeah, we're doing our part. You could also get eaten by crocodiles on the beach, right? I mean, let's not forget these things are saltwater crocodiles. Right?
Yeah, that's true. We don't they don't come on the beach like down here, but they are like up in the Northern Territory, up in far north Queensland. Yeah, they'd be around water, and they would, kill you and eat you.
Oh my God, what a fucking nightmare! This is ridiculous. Long and short of it is this. Oh, and let's not be remiss on mentioning that I believe the hole in the ozone layer is somewhere over. Is it Sydney? Somewhere over Australia, right?
I think it's actually the biggest. It's over Tasmania. Like it's sort of more down south.
Thank you. Yes.
And I know from experience, every time I go to Tasmania, I get fucking sunburnt. Like, so I have proof that the hole in the ozone layer exists in Tasmania.
I mean, we don't talk about that a lot anymore. I wondered if we had fixed that in the 90s, but I'm very doubtful.
I think it just moved to Tasmania and everyone forgot about it. Like, no one cares what's going on down there.
Why would you worry about it if there's no thing? There's no such thing as Australia, so, I mean...
at the end of the day, this all makes
matter.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right.
So where do you think you actually live, since Australia is just a made-up fantasy place that, is used to entertain, I guess, people, in America, in the Western Hemisphere?
I don't know, suburban Detroit somewhere? I'm not really sure. It could be anywhere. I mean, I don't know, because I've been, mind warped, and all I can see is, Australia, and, it could be anywhere. Like, I'm probably, sitting in a padded cell somewhere with just these pictures beamed into my room, so I think I'm, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happening.
It's all getting very Black Mirror in here.
Exactly.
Well, this is based on an expose. This article that this theory has its basis in that. I think it's an offshoot of the Flat Earth Society. Is that where this comes from?
Yeah, allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly. The Flat Earth thing just fascinates me because with most conspiracy theories, you can see how, okay, so what they're proposing is the alternative, the woke version, let's expose the charlatans and live in the real world. This is the truth. And the lie that they tell you is because this, that, and the other. You can draw a line between, okay, they don't want the truth coming out, and they tell us this because that. It's like you can see how someone benefits from the quote-unquote version we are told with all these other conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
But with Flat Earth, I'm kind of like, why does it matter whether the Earth is round or flat? Who cares, It's...
Yeah, we have to hide the horrible, damning secret that the world is a different shape. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck one way or the other? I suppose if you get into the weeds of it, which admittedly I have not done, perhaps we find a version where someone benefits. There's some, I don't know, special interest group that is perpetuating this idea of the world being round because X. I don't see how it matters.
Dumbest shit ever.
Yeah. People sort of feeding their own narcissism and having a superiority complex about something that's completely arbitrary. So I kind of love that one. I can't help it.
Yeah. I love this Australia bullshit too, because it's just there's no actual way that it could be true, but now I can't stop thinking about all the ways that you'd have to pull this off. Like I said, I can't get out of these meetings that they're having, sorting it out.
These meetings, yes.
And I think the thing is that they got to the end of the meeting, and it's the end of the day. Everyone's tired and wants to go home, and this is when food comes up, and so they're all like, fuck it, guys. I cannot be bothered with this food. They're not going to have cuisine, okay? Australians don't need cuisine. No one there knows how to fucking cook, okay? Let's just say that. And look, all right, let's just... What is the laziest thing we could do? Let's just take a piece of bread, butter it, and throw some sprinkles on it. And that's a fucking dessert. All right, I'm done. Let's go. Because literally, that's fairy bread, and that is our dessert.
Well, I'm going to have to, disagree with you because I was made privy to some sort of birthday cake confection thing that...
Oh, my mud cake from Woolies.
Your mud cake, yes.
Well, that still applies because I'm talking about, a literal, $5 chocolate mud cake from the supermarket.
But somebody makes a mud cake somewhere, though, right?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
But we don't have it. We don't have it, so that's Australia, maybe?
Mm.
Yeah. We got, we have pavlova, which is just, let's just get a whole gigantic bunch of sugar and then throw a whole gigantic bunch of cream on it and maybe throw some fruit on top to make it seem like an actual food. And then, that's, all of our desserts are just disgusting. Trifle, I don't know if, you mustn't have trifle. Trifle is just a bowl of jelly, Jell-O, I should say. A bowl of Jell-O, and you throw a bunch of cream in it, and then throw a bunch of fruit in it. And it's just, and that's it.
So
that's
banana pudding.
We kind of call it something else, but yes, that exists.
There's no bread or carbs or anything else. It's just pure sugar and fat. Every single Australian dessert is just sugar and cream in a bowl.
I fail to see the problem with this, babe. Like, is this a complaint or like?
I don't see a problem either. It just sounds like it wasn't well thought out in committee. Maybe there's not a ton of creativity.
They're literally all like the laziest desserts possible. Like, let's just throw some shit in a bowl and I'm done. Like, we don't. I'm
good with it. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm good with it. I mean, the committee did not even decide whether or not you guys eat crocodile. So,
well,
obviously,
that remains to be seen.
That remains to be seen. This conspiracy theory was not super well thought out. It just seems to me.
In so many ways.
Well, you do have. I mean, not to be stereotypical American, but it is kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We got to talk about Vegemite, right?
Mm-hmm,
I mean, that's the thing. But
see, and again, these people are just testing you all to see how much shit you can swallow, like literally in this case, because who thought, like, let's just scrape some tar off the road and use it to sell shit and see if people will spread it on toast. Like,
what it is?
Vegemite is a piece of shit. Like, don't eat it.
I'm glad you're not a fan, because it seems like to me somebody watched like Soylent Green right before that meeting and just decided, oh, let's do that, but call it something else. You know, we're trying to come up with this whole Australia thing, this idea, this concept of Australia. It's both a country and a continent. What do they eat? Soylent Green. We'll just call it Vegemite. That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. It's disgusting. I don't eat it. People do that. Like, people do. Like, other people. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand why. But it's, no.
People who are drinking the Kool-Aid, to use a very American reference.
Yeah, well, people who are just drinking, really. Like, it's Australia.
That works. Jenny, do you have any other questions about the fictional locale of Australia?
Oh, the fictional land of Australia. Which side of the road do you guys drive on?
The left side of the road.
Oh, okay. The wrong side.
Yeah,
gotcha.
The wrong side. Yes, the wrong side. So it was quite interesting when I went to America. Like, and I mean, obviously, I understand that in America you drive on the right side of the road, okay? Like, I've watched television. Mm-hmm. But it's sort of all the other stuff that goes along with it that you don't think about that threw me, like having to look a certain way when you're crossing the road because it's the actual opposite, and like bus stops and things like that are on like the opposite side of the road to what I think they are, and because they're going in a different direction, and just all that sort of thing that really threw me. Like, and even like the fast lane. Like, I remember when I got to New Orleans, I went from the airport to my Airbnb, and so this guy's driving down the freeway, like flooring it, this goddamn Uber driver, like flooring it on in the left-hand lane. And in America, I guess the left-hand lane is the fast lane, but in Australia, it is not. And I was freaking the fuck out because I was like in the left lane, going, "Oh my god, like slow down! You're in the left lane."
You don't think about these subtleties.
But yeah, so it was all the subtleties that threw me. Even though, like, I understand that in America you drive on the right side of the road, but like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a thing.
Okay.
I have a thing about America.
Yes.
It's the one thing that annoyed me when I was in America is that everything in America costs a stupid amount of money.
Yes.
And I don't mean a lot of money. That's not what I mean when I say that. I like the actual amount that things cost is stupid because it's not even.
Right. Okay.
They're all like in Australia. Something costs like $1, or it costs $1.50, or it costs like $1.90. Like, or $1.99, and you just round up to $2, right? Everything is even. Yeah. In America, things cost like $1.37 and $1.81, and so it's all these bullshit numbers. And I don't understand your change, so I just like giving them bills and getting like 37 cents in change back every time I fucking buy something. So consequently, I have in my bag still that I've not unpacked, like probably like $10 worth of American change that I accumulated.
You know what to do with that.
What you do with that is you throw that shit in the trash can. Because
apparently.
Nobody fucking uses that.
Apparently.
Okay, look, the pennies definitely just throw in the trash.
I threw a dime away tonight.
You threw well, it with dimes, it kind of depends on how many dimes it is.
It was one fucking dime.
Okay, yeah, throw that shit in the trash.
What am I going to do with the dime?
Yeah, quarters, I mean, you got to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will keep a quarter, but that's just for, like, bullshit. Like, my son wants to go to the arcade or, like, wants a ball out of a machine or some shit. Like, it's play money. You know what I mean? Like, it's not real.
Pennies are not money. No. Nickels are not really money either. They're big and they're worthless.
Right.
Well, they're 5 cents, which is worthless.
So 5 cents.
They take up too much space. They take up more space than pennies and provide so much less almost bang for the buck. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why do we need not have change?
Yeah, they're not in the same order. Like with Australian change.
Yeah.
The 5 cents, because we start at 5 cents. 5 cents is the smallest. 10 cents is a bit bigger than that. 20 cents is bigger than that. 50 cents is bigger than that. So you understand which one is which because they go up in size for how much of value they're worth.
Right.
Americans, like,
that sounds so much
it doesn't make sense because they're not in the right height order.
No.
And so I couldn't figure out how much they were all worth. And the writing
dimes are
very
smaller
tiny.
than pennies.
Exactly. Yeah. So I couldn't figure out the change, and they're too small for me to read, like, what the number on it is, because I'm, like, pretty blind. And so I couldn't deal with all the change that I had. So I literally just, like, collected it every single day, and then now I have, like, a giant sack of change.
I'm so glad we could circle back to this subject. I really am. It was controversial, but I will not. I'll die on this hill. I think you will, too.
100%.
Well, see, I disagree, because I am a person who literally, like, accumulates my, like, Australian normal change and, like, takes it to the bank and cashes it in and gets it back. Like,
I still love you, though.
Well, that's because your change system makes sense. I mean...
Well, it's also because I'm just really, really cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit in America. And plus, I mean, you know, this terrible capitalist society we are, we price everything at $1.99 when, you know, really it's $2, but, you know, we want to fool people into thinking it's less than $2, but you're going to slap on taxes anyway. And it just, I see what you're saying with the, you know, you don't know what anything really costs, and it's all, you don't know how much money to bring. It's bullshit the way we do it. It really is.
It is. Everything is just a stupid amount. Everything should just be even. Is the end.
So, when you came to America, you carried cash? Like, or did you just, like, I would imagine if I traveled internationally, I would just use a card, but, like, maybe not?
Well, I used both. Like, I had a card that I would use for things, but I also did have cash, and I would use cash if I guess, wanted, like, had to, like, I wanted to, if it was, like, you know, like a hot dog stand or something, like, you know, or whatever, you know. So, yeah, I had both. I had a card that I used as well, that I thought I lost at one point, because everything had gone so well until then, and then I got to Vegas, and then things started going wrong.
Oh, yes.
This is an excellent segue, yes.
Because I had Vegas questions.
Back to my trip.
Yes.
Segue.
So, after the glorious time that you had in New Orleans, were you afraid that, like, Vegas couldn't, like, live up to that? Like, because, you know, we you know, it was special there, and fuck you if you don't know that or believe it, but it was. And, you know, was it, like, odd leaving that place and going to Vegas, even though Vegas is apparently awesome? Like, I imagine it being, like, a downer after something like New Orleans.
It was. Like, it was strange. Yeah, because like you said, I was surrounded by people in New Orleans, and that was the only part of my trip that I was, even though I had a friend in New York for a day. But, like, yeah, I was surrounded by you all, and it was such an awesome time, and we had so much fun and everything, and I didn't want to leave, and then we left, and yeah, I got to Vegas, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm just sitting by myself now, like, so it was a bit like that, but the trade-off, I think if I was anywhere else, it actually would have been quite a downer to go from that to being back to myself again, but Vegas is Vegas-y enough that, like, I managed, even though I was, like, really missing you all when I was there. I think I slept more than any person has ever slept in Vegas before, because I hadn't slept the whole time I was in New Orleans. That I finally crashed when I was in Vegas and had a hotel room with a bed. But, but Vegas was still a lot of fun because, like, A, it's a weed town and I was high the whole fucking time. And B, I really like gambling and casinos, like mostly casinos, not sort of gambling itself, but I like going to casinos and gambling specifically, so I was in fucking heaven. And yeah, well, basically those two things. So, like, I was good. Like, and also, like, J-Lo and seeing shows and things like that. So, like, yeah, I had enough fun on my own in Vegas, so that I wasn't, like, sad or anything, but I did really miss you all, and I missed having the company, absolutely. But that's when things started happening to me. Because when I got to my hotel room, when I, like, got to Vegas, I got there and then discovered that I had booked this hotel room for the wrong week that I was in America.
What?
I booked it for, the first week I was there, like, the wrong week. Oh, and I got there and I was like, oh, fucking shit. And, like, because nothing had gone wrong up until that point, and I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. This is bound to happen. And yeah, excuse me. So that, like, and I sorted it out, luckily. I just sort of, like, they're like, we still have a room available. Like, I just rebooked it and then got my money back later, like, when I got home. Yeah. But that was a thing. And then I thought I'd lost my credit card that I was using when I was there, and I was panicking about that too, and then I found that later that night, luckily. But then, yeah, so I got there, and then I went down to the weed store and got all my weed for the time I was there.
Kind of needed it at that point.
The legal weed store is amazing. Like,
talk to me about the legal weed store.
It's so, like, on super lockdown. Like I mean, I went there at night, and, like, Vegas, as soon as you get off the main strip, it's, like, it seems pretty shady, even though it's, like, only a block away from, like, you know, gigantic lights and civilization. And, like, I was just walking through this shady neighborhood at night, going to the weed store, and it's, like, it's all on, like, double lockdown, and you have to, like, give them your ID and, like, wait in a queue to get in, and they, like, take you in behind, like, the locked doors, and then you can't even, like, touch the stuff. You just tell them what you want, and then they go and get it from behind the locked cabinet. Like, it's, like, full on super, like, which I mean, I guess it has to, because of the risk of, like, you know, being broken into and exploited and stuff. But, like, it's just, it was, like, it was amazing. Like, I looked at it and I thought, man, if they sold alcohol like this, like,
oh my gosh. Well, I was going to say, what if you don't know what you want? What if you're like, I've never done this before?
Well, I didn't fucking know. Like, I mean, like, I smoked weed before, but, like, I don't understand it.
All
like,
these fucking bullshit exotic strains and all this.
Yeah, there's, like, 100 different flavors, and I'm like, I really have no idea. I'm just here for 3 days. I just need some stuff. And so, like, the girl, she probably gets, like, tourists a lot. And so she was like, okay, like, just, you know, just get this and this. So I got the edibles and a vape pen and stuff, and a rolled joint. I can't roll joint. But, like, yeah, okay, so, right, I got this vape pen. Let me tell you, the day that I saw J-Lo, that was at night. So during the day, that was the day I went to the Grand Canyon, which is like a whole day thing. You go out on the bus. And so I took my vape pen with me. I was like, I mean, I was high, like, all the time when I was in Vegas. So I had my vape pen with me on this bus trip.
Good policy, yeah.
All right, and I was, you know, puffing away all day. The thing about the Grand Canyon that you don't realize until you get there is that there is no fence.
Oh, God.
There is literally no fence or barrier or any, like, nothing between you and oblivion, right? where you just go and like stand on the edge of the cliff and look out, and you're like, and I mean, it's amazing, fucking, like, don't get me wrong, but like, and it's great, like, there's literally nothing like protecting you from the edge of the cliff except like a, I guess, park ranger or whatever you have, who just stands there with you on the cliff and occasionally goes like, hey you there, like, you in the hat, would you step back please, thank you. And like, that's like you can literally just like run and jump off and nothing would fucking stop you from dying. Like, it's just amazing. And like, it amazed me because like America seems like the most like cautious, like legally minded, like litigious society on the planet, but they're just like, yeah, just walk off the edge of the Grand Canyon, we don't care. Like, it just blew my mind. And I mean, like, and again, like, it's great because you can see everything. It's fantastic to be there. Except when you've been puffing away at this weed all day and suddenly you're standing on the edge of a cliff. And when you're high on the edge of a cliff, you get super paranoid.
God.
And so I was like, by the end of, like, at the time I was like out on, you know, in the cliff parts, I was freaking out, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna trip and fall off a cliff and die. This is how I'm gonna die. And so I was like walking around like with these little baby steps, like a toddler, like with my hands out in front of me, like so I wouldn't fall over. Like a fuckwit. And so I was walking around like that, like, because I took a picture. I don't know if it's the one I put on Facebook or not, but I took a picture of like of the Grand Canyon with me, and you can see that I'm sitting down when I take it. It's because I couldn't trust myself to stand up and take this photo on the edge of the cliff. and that part where I was at that point, it has like a gigantic pile of rocks that's there, that's just like part of, you know, the cliff. And so you climb up to the top of the pile of rocks and you can, like, you're on top of the world and you can see out and stuff. It's cool. And I was looking at it going, I don't trust myself to climb these rocks. But then I was about to get, and then I sort of thought, I didn't come all this fucking way to not climb the pile of rocks. And so I turned around, I went and I climbed them up like super slowly, you know, like a dumbass probably. And I got up to the top and I was just like, okay, I did that, and then I need to go now. And so I went back down, but I went back down the wrong way. I don't know how you can go down the wrong way when it's literally just a pile of rocks and you just like find a way like up as you know what you can. But I went down like the wrong way, like, because the rocks were too big that I was climbing down, so I was like sort of jumping down. And the park ranger guy who was there was like, hey, and he yelled at me for like going down the wrong way, and I was like, dude, I just need to get down to the ground. Like, just. So I got back, you know, and I walked away, like, slowly. And I was just like, this is fine. I made it. Like, I thought I was just going to, like, wander off and die there. But apart from that, it was really fun.
At least you could play all this stuff off as, oh, well, I'm foreign, you know.
Yeah, I'm just really scared of heights. I'm just really scared of heights. But I'm actually not that scared of heights. Like, I'm fine. I thought it was really cool, but it was just the paranoia setting in, and I was just like, I don't trust myself to not fall over right now. So that was that. And then see, and it's starting to make more sense to me now, like the rest of my day, because then I went back to Vegas and ate a lot of edibles and then went to J-Lo, and it was the highest that I've ever been in public, like 100%, because I was eating dinner before the concert and I was sitting there waiting for my steak to come and talking to myself saying, okay, when this steak comes, I gotta like pretend I remember how to eat a steak. Because it's just, I wanted them to hit me when I got to the concert, but they hit me way too early. I was trying to eat dinner, and I couldn't remember how dinner worked, and it was just like... And then I walked into the concert, and, like, I mean, I bought a ticket, like, up in the cheap seats, like, because I was just by myself, you know, like, whatever. Of course. And I walked in the door, and there was this bird there handing out wristbands. And she looked at me, and she goes, do you want to be in the pit? And I didn't say anything because I didn't understand what she was saying to me. And she literally says to me, like, you want to be in the pit. It's a good thing. Just say yes.
You looked like somebody who wanted to be in the pit.
Right.
Yeah. And I must have said yes because she gave me the wristband. And then she was like, okay, just go around to do all this and then go all the way here and here and then you'll be in the pit. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I walked away and then 10 seconds later I was like, I don't remember anything she just said.
Oh my lord.
So I was like wandering around the venue and then eventually I must have like asked people like where to go and then eventually I found my way down there. And I was like standing in the pit like right in front of the stage.
Fuck.
And then at that point I was just like, oh god, I'm gonna have to stay on my feet for the next hour. This is gonna be a struggle.
It was like that.
It was like that, and I was just like, okay. But I think I got in there, like, when I was watching her, I was sort of, like, engaged enough to, like, sort of, and it just sort of passed, you know, but I was like, all the way up to there, I was struggling so much. But J-Lo was fantastic.
Okay.
We made eye contact. We made definite eye contact.
There you go. There you go. Yep.
So we're good friends, really.
That's always a moment, you know, at a concert that happens.
Yeah, because I was the only one not on my phone that she was looking at, I think. Like,
okay.
Down in the front row.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad much of this is coming back to you, you know, here on Talking Pop. It feels like that's been a good service that we've been able to provide. So
yeah.
I'm somewhat satisfied with ourselves right now.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I think we have a way of, you know, triggering people to, like...
Oh, you sure do.
To unburden themselves with their memories.
Unburden themselves, yes. That's
absolutely.
A great way of putting it. So, anything else about your trek to America that you would like to unburden yourself of?
Well, I was just thinking, the only thing about New Orleans that you wouldn't really have got from listening to Jenny and Nick on a previous edition of Talkin' Pop is the time on Friday night, my calamitous, touristy comedy of errors when I tried to get Macca's at 5 a.m. on Friday night. McDonald's, I should say. I tried to get McDonald's.
I was going to say, what the fuck is that?
I'm sorry. See, it's going to keep happening. McDonald's. It was like the worst half an hour of my life. Because on Friday night, we all broke up at about midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you all went your separate ways. And I ended up hauling ass out to the airport to watch the Joey Janela show, which was starting at midnight. So I watched that. Like, I was struggling at that point so bad. But, like, I'm glad I did because it was a fun show. And it ended, and then I got my Uber to come back, and I noticed that there was a McDonald's, like, near my Airbnb. And I was like, oh, I'm so fucking hungry. Like, so I got the Uber guy to, like, drop me off at the McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
And so I walked out, and, you know, the show, it was probably, like, getting up to 4 a.m, like 3:30 or 4 a.m, I don't know. And so I walk over to this McDonald's, and then I realize it's fucking 4 a.m. Like, obviously the restaurant's closed. It's just drive-through, and I forgot. And then I noticed that my Uber driver hadn't left, like, where he dropped me off. So I walked back over to him and, like, knocked on his window and be like, dude, can you just, like, drive me through the drive-through at McDonald's? And he's just like, yeah, sure. He was nice. Yeah. He was just like, yeah, whatever. I'm not doing anything. It's 4 a.m.
You can't be the first person who's asked.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah. And so I got back in and we went to the drive-thru, and, like, I think, like, there was literally one guy in the entire store who was trying to do everything. He was trying to serve people and cook and take orders and do everything at once, and there was a huge lineup for this fucking drive-thru. And we were waiting, like, God knows, because I thought it would take, like, 5 minutes, right? And this poor guy, like, driving me through it, and we were sitting there, like, for legit, like, half an hour waiting to put my order in. Like, just waiting to get served. And so we get up to, like, you know, the machine, I guess. And then he's like, okay, you know, like, how can I help you? Can I just get, you know, some chicken nuggets? Because that's what you do in Australia. Like, it's late at night, you go to Macca's and get nuggets. It's just what you do. Mm-hmm. I really wanted chicken nuggets. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, the breakfast breakfast menu has started. And I'm like, oh, fuck. What do you have? And I don't understand the American breakfast menu. Like, what do you have for breakfast?
McGriddles.
Biscuits, bitch. Biscuits.
And I can't eat eggs. So it's not like I can just eat like whatever. I don't even know if you have eggs in McDonald's breakfast over there, but like whatever. And so I was just like, fine, just give me like half a dozen hash browns. I just did a bunch of hash browns.
Oh, man.
And he was like, okay. And so that's what I got. And then he was like, okay, it's going to be a wait. Can you go and park and wait? And I'm like, okay. So this poor Uber guy like goes and parks in his car park. And after about like 5 minutes, I was like, dude, like I could just sit here and wait for my food. You can go now. Like you don't have to wait with me. Like I don't need to be in a car now. It's fine.
Were you on the clock? Like, did you have to pay for this?
No. Like, and I felt terrible because I seriously thought it would just take a second, but he didn't charge me. I just got back in the car. And yeah, so I felt terrible.
He's thinking it's going to be like 5 minutes.
Right.
So
exactly.
I'll get a big tip, whatever.
Yeah. And I felt terrible. Yeah. And yeah, so eventually I was like, dude, you can just go. Like, you don't have to wait. And then like, just after that, this guy came out, like the one guy working in McDonald's, like on it by himself, like comes out with my hash browns, and I was just like, oh, like thank God. And then yeah, and so I did give that Uber guy a really, really big tip. And then yeah, so I finally ate all my hash browns, but I was so over it by then. Like I was
I was gonna say like the longest wait for the most disappointing.
It was like
meal.
fucking 5 o'clock or 5:30 at that point, and I was like, so tired. My feet were so sore from like the whole thing. I hadn't slept in a week. I just want some Maccas. And then yeah, so then I started to walk back to my house, and then just like collapsed. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, that was just like the worst Macca's run of all time, basically.
Wow. Well, at least that guy was cool though. The Uber
he was nice. Yeah, I tipped him huge because he was super nice with me. He's a poor guy.
Oh my God.
Because he was stuck in the line, so I was just like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I didn't think it would be like this.
Didn't think it would be like this. He's like, I didn't either.
All right. Well, I think this is a good point for you to take a break and go get some Mackers or whatever the fuck, and then come back to Talking Pop after this.
Fair dinkum.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, pro wrestling announcer Kevin Kelly here. I want to make sure you are all subscribed to all the great feeds here at Place to Be Nation. It's really easy to do. Just head to iTunes or your preferred podcatcher app today and search and subscribe to the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, which of course includes the full archives of the Kevin Kelly Show, the Place to Be Nation pod feed, and the Pro Wrestling Only feed. Subscribe, listen, and then rate us and leave feedback today. And be sure to give Justin your true thoughts. I mean, don't hold back. After all, he is kind of a jerk. Just listen to Scott.
Place for Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceForNation.com. We offer them to you on two great feeds. On the Place for Nation Wrestling feed, we bring you the Mothership, the Place to Be podcast, along with Main Event, Survey Says, the Monday Night Wars, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction show, as well as Jeff Learns Wrestling. In addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver special network podcasts and pod blasts on topics old and new.
Over on the Pro Wrestling Only feed, we dive deep inside the wrestling business with a stacked army of experts leading the way. The feed features potpourri shows such as This Week in Wrestling, Greetings from Allentown, Match of the Week podcast, and the Military Industrial Suplex. We also have shows that focus intently on certain topics like Through the Years, Worldcast, Strong Style History, Strong Style Story, and Mount Olympus. Plus, the feed has the full archives of legendary shows like Titans of Wrestling, Where the Big Boys Play, Letters from Center Stage, and Letters from Kayfabe, plus much more. And on our very popular Place to Be Nation Pop podcast feed, we offer such great shows as Talkin' Pop, the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, NBA Team, PTBN Play, Sunday Groove, Breaking Balls, and Lucha Undead.
As well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans.
With the hard-traveling fanboys, Sellers Points, Todd Weber's Conversations, Geek and Sassy, and Marvel Age Podcasts.
You can find all of these current shows, plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback today. All these shows, plus others, available at PlayStation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlayStation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping, and download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and Fall River, Massachusetts, and historyofwrestling.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlayStation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to be Nation. Welcome back to Songs with Friends. I'm Kelly here with Steve.
What's up?
And
I tweet everything that comes across my head.
Oh my God, me
Somebody
too.
take my phone away.
The show is so good. We have a very special guest for the first time here on Songs with Friends. It is Stacey O'Loughlin. Stacey, how you doing after that break? Was it a good, refreshing break for you? Get some relief?
I'm thoroughly refreshed, thank you. It's nice to be back here with you, Kelly and Steve.
Yeah, I bet. It is exciting.
Kelly and Steve, is this Beverly Hills 90210?
Oh, shit, yo. Oh,
How
man.
have I not noticed that before?
I've never noticed that either. That's...
Imagine if Kelly and Steve had a podcast.
Right? How awkward would that be?
Yeah, it would not be good. Because he would just be hitting on her all the time. And
I know.
She would just be, like, aloof and snobby and stuck
no
up.
selling it. No selling it the whole way.
Because she's a fucking bitch.
Ooh, man. Ooh. This is to be continued as well.
Not the real Kelly from Songs with Friends, but
no.
Jenny Garth's Kelly.
Yeah. In all seriousness, we need to do some kind of crossover with them in some form, maybe. That would be fun. I love the show.
Talking pop with friends?
Talking pop with friends. Oh, man.
Boom.
Yeah.
Song and pop? No, wait.
Song and pop. Well, that's kind of the same thing, yeah. Songs?
Song and pop?
Talking song.
Talking song.
I sure hope they're listening.
They sure are.
Speaking of BH 90210, the OG 90210, I feel like we've been teasing that for a long time. I mean, for a long time, going back to the early days of Place to Be Nation, and something just needs to be done with that subject.
I agree with that.
I feel like we're at a tipping point where that no. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna leave it.
Yep.
And we're gonna let that gather steam on its own, as I know it will.
It will.
And yeah, stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, Jenny, let me turn the proceedings back over to you.
All right. Well,
You have some thoughts?
there are a couple things that I wanted to go over, but I'm just saying that I don't want to do this whole New Orleans thing over and over again. But one thing that happened in New Orleans is Stacey's affinity for accents, which I don't know if you guys noticed in the first half that she kind of dropped into an American accent at some point, and then...
Well, what happened was I dropped my fake Australian accent on my real one.
Right. That's right. That is exactly what happened. But I distinctly remember you regaling us with several different accents. particularly at the tailgate, which I do want to talk about the tailgate. I want to know what you thought about members of the Place to Be Nation, and if you had as good as time as I did that day, and maybe do a little accent for us. You know the one I want.
I know the one you want.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be hard, but I'm trying not to laugh because I need to get in character as Chad. But
Uh-oh.
I did enjoy the tailgate. I can't get it. Like I gotta work my way up to Chad because
it is the best.
I can't do it if you're all laughing.
Okay, I'm
not laughing. It is the best accent in all of Place to Be Nation.
Oh, hands down. Sorry, Stacey, but it is.
Chad's voice is literally my favorite thing in the entire world since I first heard it.
It's a draw, to be honest with you. I'm really if anybody else did that show, I'm not sure I would listen to. I mean, don't get me wrong, JT, Justin, love you, buddy. But you do a lot of shows. You don't do any shows with Chad, but that one. So, I mean, it's a draw. I'm not gonna lie.
Like the first time I heard Chad's voice, I was like, oh my god, yes. And because the great thing was, it was during Greatest Wrestler Ever, so he was like talking about all these like Japanese wrestlers and Mexican wrestlers and stuff.
Yes.
So I first heard these names spoken out loud in Chad's voice, and so it was so fantastic because I don't know who these people are, and I hear Chad going Akira Hokuto and Manami Toyota and all this stuff.
And he rattles them off pretty much effortlessly.
Oh, but he's so good. Like I'm seriously, I love Chad's voice so much. It's my favorite. I do it out of love because like I wanna nail it. Like, yeah.
It's a compliment. It's a high compliment. You know what? It's almost it's ASMR-ish.
It is. I would agree with that.
It's just because I really love, like, I mean, you can tell because I keep doing them. Like, I really love accents, and I love, distinct accents and voices, and so that's where it comes from. Like, I want to mimic them when I hear them because I just enjoy them so much. So that's why, like when I was in America, I was so enthralled with being surrounded by people with American accents, and I had to use all of my self-control to not use one and mimic people that I was speaking to because I don't want to sound like I'm mocking people when I'm talking to them, especially in New Orleans when I'm talking to people I know.
Yeah.
But once I got to Vegas, by the second day in Vegas, I had lost all of my self-control and just started going around the casinos and the shops and stuff in an American accent. But the one problem with that, I would sit down at the casino and be like, yeah, how you doing? And use my American accent. And I would think to myself, I really hope these people don't strike up a conversation with me and ask me, where are you from? What do you do? Where are you do? Because I don't know where I'm from.
I don't know where I'm from.
And I'm not fast enough to make some shit up if someone asks me that.
I haven't decided yet. Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, I don't know my backstory to this, but I'm just gonna talk like this. And I talk like this, and nobody gave a shit. They're just like, yeah, you're American. But the problem is that I would go up to the counter or checkout or whatever, and because muscle memory kicks in.
Oh.
I would be in my American accent, but then I would go up and I would say, "G'day, darling, I need this." I would say hello.
That's the giveaway.
Because it's just muscle memory. I couldn't stop it from coming out. And then I would say that and I'd walk away and be like, oh my god, that's so stupid. I'm breaking character. I'm ruining it. But yeah, I do America. I really enjoy doing Chad.
Do you find that Jenny and I have accents, or are we just boring for you?
No, absolutely. I can do Jenny saying New Orleans. That's I remember it's hard though. It's hard to nail on the spot. Like yours, I really like too. Yours, I want to nail at some point. Like I want to nail you, Tim. That's all.
I was gonna say I don't know how distinctive I am because I'm.
Oh, you
are.
You are.
Enough.
You definitely are. But
okay.
you sound a little bit different to other Southern accents.
Yes.
And it's the way you say, "Oh, I can't remember." There's a certain sound that you make that's different.
Call me out if I do it.
Yeah, I know it, but I can't think of it right now. But like, you definitely do. You have a distinct sounding something.
I think it's because I'm about as far north as you can be to still be considered in the South.
I think it's when you say far. It's more like far.
Far, yeah. It kind of that long kind of drawl on the A maybe.
Yeah, it's something like that, and it sounds distinct to the other Southern accents I know. So that's what I would try and nail.
Yeah, and see,
if I nailed you.
My dad. There you go. My dad's family is Southern, like country as fuck, and my mom is from like Massachusetts. Was born in Massachusetts, so very far north, like Yankee territory kind of thing. And I live in Virginia, Central Virginia, which I'm in Richmond, which was, the capital of the Confederacy.
That's true.
Yeah, Civil War. But I have that sort of weird mixed heritage in a way, even though I've basically lived here all my life. So I don't know what that comes out with, in the wash. I feel like I sound more nasally than anything, but you can be the judge of that.
I think we all think that we sound like that, because I think I sound that. Well, I mean, I just think I sound like a 5-year-old girl. Like, I'm just gonna sound like a 5-year-old girl for the rest of my life, like, because I think because I'm so masculine, to put it that way.
Okay.
It's strange to me to hear my actual voice, because because of the way I perceive myself and the things that I'm saying, I think that someone is saying them with a deeper voice than I actually have. And so, like, I hear my voice out loud and I'm like a 5-year-old girl talking, and it just sounds really strange to me. But I've done enough podcasts and enough, speaking, recorded my voice enough that I now know what my voice sounds like, I guess, and I've sort of made my peace with it. But yeah, it's just strange to me because I can't hear it on the inside.
Yeah, you get used to it. I had that same dilemma for a while where I just did not like the sound of my own voice. And I mean, still don't, but I'm used to it enough that it does not bother me. But, speaking of making our peace with things and getting into issues of identity, I'm struggling for a segue here.
That was pretty good, friend.
I think Jenny has some questions.
With that, since that was a fantastic segue.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
And I will never.
Myself.
Yeah, that was great. I will say I will never forget when you sent me a voice clip of your version of me saying New Orleans, and it was spot on. I'll just say, like, I was like, "What the shit?"
Yeah, like I can get you.
I remember that. Yeah,
I get you saying New Orleans. Like I can't. Yeah, I'm laughing. I can't get it now.
And I'm the same as you guys. Like, at first I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't listen to it. And now it's just...
I can't podcast.
Right. Now I'm just kind of used to it, unless I get talked into, like, singing on a podcast.
Of course.
Some asshole makes you sing on a podcast.
That I cannot listen to. But, anyway.
No, I wouldn't want myself.
No.
You did a great job.
No.
But you did. Like, I enjoyed it. I'm
sure.
lie.
I'm sure.
I did.
Anyway, so I did.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. Back to the segue.
So like, not to like be real self-important or anything, but I think on Talking Pop we try to we have fun, but like we try to be a little real. We try to we joke a lot, but I think that when Tim and I started this, we also just really wanted to get to know people and kind of get a little deeper into them, and that's how we kind of got into this like talk show sort of format. There's a lot of bullshit junk and jokes and stuff, but I think that the people that we've talked to, we are genuinely interested in them as people, and meeting Stacey is just like, as soon as we met, I was just like, yeah, like, and all of us were that way. Like we just all clicked.
What does yeah mean?
It was just, you just want to meet, you just want to know more, about somebody sometimes. And, so like, cause we didn't know each other, honestly. Like,
no, I don't. Like, the extent of our relationship before New Orleans was that 2 weeks beforehand, I was in Melbourne and you texted me out of like nowhere and said, oh, I was thinking about coming to New Orleans. And I was just like, yeah, fucking come. Like, the more the merrier. Like, and then, and that was it. And then we met in New Orleans.
Right.
And then,
and that was,
so that's, yeah.
That was like, okay, so the social construct is like, there's this married lady that wants to go off to the city with all these dudes and watch wrestling. So like,
right.
That's odd, right? Like, that's weird. And,
is it?
And like, she's never met most of these people before. And so I'm
it's unexpected.
It's weird. It's fucking weird. But, I was like, okay, I know that there's going to be another girl there. So like, I need to reach out to this other girl. And like, we need to like, hang out, like, solidarity here.
Go ahead, Stacey. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I felt the same way. Like, that the idea of another girl going was just like, I like that. That's why I was like, yeah, fucking come.
Yeah.
Like,
it was just like,
I was literally, like, when you said that, I was this close to saying, yeah, come and like stay with me in my Airbnb. I already have a place.
Right.
But I couldn't remember what the bed situation was with my Airbnb. Like, I didn't want to invite you to it and there like not be any room for two people. Like,
right.
and I couldn't go on and look at it because the guy had taken his listing off Airbnb once I booked it. And so I couldn't go and check. And so I was like having this whole dilemma in my head. So I'll just leave it. She's just gonna have to come on her own. But like, I was like,
and I didn't want it to seem that I was like trying to like tag along, even though I totally was trying to do that.
No, like I fully like was going to offer. Like, that's what I said. That was the only thing stopping me, and I felt bad that I couldn't actually say, "Oh, just come and stay with me," because I already had the place. Like, but I just didn't want to. When I didn't know what the room was like and I couldn't look it up, I didn't want to like offer it and be like, "Oh, okay, well, someone has to sleep on the floor." Like,
right. Yeah. And then you ended up having house guests anyway. Well, some bum.
Yeah. Well.
Over,
yeah.
Right.
And I had a giant bed and a giant couch and I had people over. Like, yeah. So I say people,
Jenny,
I mean Justin.
You had said, even beforehand, Jenny, you were like, I'm kind of anxious about this. I don't know if it's a good idea. I'm not going to know anybody. It's going to be awkward. And I remember being like, well, Stacey's going. You can hang out with Stacey. That's another girl. You can kind of,
we can do girl
connect on that level.
Right.
We can braid each other's hair. And
right.
I mean, it's like,
that's what girls do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not to be that way about it, but it was like, it's a bunch of
I get it.
Right? So
yeah.
it is going to be weird if you feel like you're the one girl, and I'm like, well, I don't know about anybody else who's going to this thing, but I know Stacey's going if nobody else. So certainly you can have a good time, and I'm sure Stacey will make you feel welcome. So you should go. And
yes, and everybody did. It wasn't weird at all. So anyway, all that like hand wringing.
Yeah, no, but I agree. I felt the same way. Like, because I'm not good with new people, and I'm very shy, and I don't say much. So I was just like, I don't know any of these people. I'm just going to be off in the corner somewhere. But like you said, we went there, and we were all just like best friends, and it was great. Like, so yeah. But I understand. I felt the same, so I understand.
So, in the midst of getting and this was in April, so I think that Tim and I had just started talking pop, and we had been friends for a while, and so it's like, okay, I'm a girl from the South, and I'm not that exposed to different lifestyles or what have you. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go to New Orleans. I'm going to meet this lesbian from Australia, and then I'm going to start this podcast with this gay dude from Virginia. So, I'm just going to be real cultured from now on. I'm going to,
Okay.
Right.
Absolutely. Don't you feel cultured now?
I do. And
cultured AF.
AF, man. And so you guys in particular, I think, have that interesting life experience that I'm just in the dark about for the most part. And, like I said, in Place to Be Nation, it's fun and it's sporty and it's wrestling and it's comics, and there's not much in the way of people kind of letting themselves be exposed to questions or telling their experiences. So that's something that I wanted to open up on the show. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'll just let's just throw it. Wonderful job, Jenny. Thank you. And just throw it out there. You are one of my favorite people in the world. And welcome to the gay portion of Talking Pop. So if that bothers you, you know what? Don't turn it off. Actually, keep listening. Try to broaden your horizons if that does bother you. Because if you've listened to this show long enough, if you've bared with us for this long and you're still, I don't know, hanging in there, then maybe give us a chance, Maybe step out of your comfort zone a little bit because, we do kind of want to get real on this show. Not to turn into a very special episode or whatever, but it just seemed like a good opportunity. It's not like we're going to do this all the time or whatever, but this is the Pop Gets Real on Place to Be Nation. So we're gonna unburden ourselves of some information and some history, I'm sure. And Jenny, I think you have some questions, so we're gonna try to be both entertaining and perhaps educational. So, stick around. Give us a chance.
Well, I'll start with this. When I was 16, I had a crush on somebody, and they were amazing, right? There was a dude, and so we were hanging out. And, he got real serious. And I thought, maybe he has a crush on me too. Maybe this is where he's going to be I have feelings for you. And I was kind of freaking out. And the exact opposite happened when he came out to me, and I was the first person that he ever told that he was gay. And I was floored and honored and shocked and heartbroken because I adored this person. And but once I got over that, I never got over that. I remember where I was. I remember what he said. I remember how it felt. And I've reached out to him in the past couple of years, and and he's reached out to me, and he'll just say, like, I remember that day I told you, and you were the first person I ever told, and I will never get over it, and it will always be a special memory to me. And I was wondering if you guys had, like, a person or an experience like that.
First of all, I'll say I love that story. I like that it's kind of a pivotal moment for both of you, but in different ways. And I take it you're not super close today. Just one of those things you drift apart like anything else.
But I still, like, even in my mind, he's still like one of the most wonderful people I've ever known, like, even to this day. And, like, you know, we're friends on Facebook, and I've kept up with them, and, you know, we will very, very occasionally talk, but, you know, I just think the world of him, like, no matter what. Even if we didn't have that experience, I would still feel that way about him.
And that's nice. What a barrage of mixed emotions, but kind of a happy, a nice story in the final analysis, if you will.
Right.
I will say, I'll steer it in a slightly different direction while staying in the same ballpark, perhaps. Which is, so you had a crush on this guy who happened to be gay, and it was just sort of like a big, like, revelation for you.
Yes.
My experience as a gay dude, and Stacey, I would definitely encourage you to chime in on this as well, is having crushes on straight friends.
Is there any other kind?
I knew you would.
Oh, Lordy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, not so much nowadays as an adult, because you kind of, I don't know, you kind of...
Speak for yourself, Tim.
You kind of have a different attitude.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, just towards social dynamics, and you recognize, like, okay...
If someone's available or not,
Right. Here we go again, but never mind. Like,
yeah.
But when you're a kid and you're kind of just, you know, have all this, you know, you're dealing with all this stuff, and you're trying to process and unpack your own feelings and your own relationship with your sexual identity or what have you. And for me, it was like, it seemed like every school year it would be sort of somebody new. And most of the time it was like there would be that one person I would kind of be crushing on who was always straight and who I was almost never friends, like close friends with, just kind of like we had classes together sort of thing. And then later on, probably, I would say, I'm having a hard time remembering now, which is maybe a good sign. Like my junior, senior year, like I had made friends with somebody in a class who I just did not know before, who was, I think, maybe a grade below me. I don't know. But just somebody I didn't really know that I became friends with through, like, a chemistry class, you know, of course. But, and it was like, okay, we're friends, and it was just sort of like, I'm kind of, you know, as you do, if you're friends with someone and then start developing feelings for them, is something that happens. However, it's a much different dynamic when that's an opposite sex relationship versus a same-sex relationship, and it's not so much, do I have a shot with this person? Am I even their type? Immediately you put that out of mind and you realize, oh no, not only am I not their type, I'm not the right gender. Like, there's no possibility even of anything. So that kind of fucks you up. And you can't help it, especially when you're that age. And yeah, I mean, there was this guy that probably my junior going into senior year, I kind of realized, oh shit, I'm going to have it bad for my friend so-and-so. I'm not even going to say the name. I don't know why it matters, but I'm just not.
Right. That's cool.
He looked kind of like Josh Matthews. Stacey, I know you'll get that.
I understand that, yeah.
I don't know if Jenny that registers.
No, I have no idea.
Sure. But, back then, we're talking early 2000s, right? Tough Enough, season 1, whatever.
Well, all boys look like Josh Matthews in 2001.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
You get it. And it was just sort of like, and we stayed friends, but it was one of those deals where I almost undermined the friendship because I was just like, I couldn't deal with it. I was just like, this is fucked up. Like, I don't think I can.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and again, back then, you're not really equipped to navigate these kind of situations and these relationships. And I was just sort of like, you know what? I don't think I can be just friends with this person, so I'm not going to be friends with this person anymore. And it was sort of unfair because, I mean, I never came out or said, hey, I'm in love with you, which I pretty much was. It was that bad. Aww. I mean, it was pitiful. It was really pitiful. Looking back. But, I mean, I couldn't do it. There was just no way because there was no...
Yeah, you just know there's no point.
You just know. Yeah, it's not like this is not a Hollywood fantasy love story kind of thing. It's just that's not how it works. So you just sort of make your peace with it, and it's like, yeah, I better just try to cut ties for my own, mental health. And I mean, that was... I don't know that I would have made a different decision in hindsight, to be honest with you. That's probably the thing to do when you find yourself in a very irreconcilable situation like that. So, yeah, that was kind of my gay angst story for my youth. What about you, Stacey? You got anything along those lines?
Yeah, well, it's pretty much that. You pretty much just described my entire teenage years. Because I have a girl, and we have many feelings, especially as teenagers. And so, you said that you weren't particularly close with the guys that you had crushes on, but I was the opposite. I would always get close to someone and get a crush on them. I get crushes on my friends, which is even better. Yeah,
And see, that only happened the one time with me, really. So that was over and over with you.
Yeah, I did that a lot.
Oh man.
I can't separate my feelings, but yeah, because I was, in the beginning, I was in year 8, so I don't know what the American year 8 is, but I was 13. It was second year of high school.
Okay.
And that's when it happened for me, because there was a girl in my class that I was friends with, and she was really pretty, and I just sort of eventually realized why I kept thinking that, and so I did, after a couple of months, I sort of figured it out, and I ended up coming out to her.
Oh,
but not because I liked her, and I didn't tell her that at first. I didn't tell her because I liked her. I told her because I was really close friends with her, and she was the person in my life at that point who I would tell, my deepest, darkest secrets. And so, this happened to me. And it's so weird because, you would think at that age, you would freak out, and I'm sure a lot of people do freak out when it hits them, but, it hit me, and I was sort of oh, well, okay, that's happening now, okay, that's fine. And I was, unnervingly okay with it for a 13-year-old girl at Catholic girls' school. And so, so I went back to school, and I told my friend, I told her this. Like, I didn't tell her about her. I just sort of came out to her, and it was because she's the person I told things to. Mm-hmm. And so that was, and I do remember, like, I remember where I was. I wrote her a note because it was high school.
Wow. Yeah.
We were in art class, and I wrote a note and passed it to her, and she read it, and I remember she didn't, like, sort of get back to me straight away. Like, class ended, and we had, like, recess, and then, like, we were in another class, and I was sort of freaking out, because it had, like, taken her, and then, like, in the next class that we had, she, like, wrote a reply and replied to me, and she was like, you know, like, okay, fine, it's okay. Like, she was telling me, you know, it's okay, I'm fine with it, and I'm like, okay, thank God, like, you know, and then I don't know how long it took, but then eventually I was like, oh yeah, by the way, like, I'm
totally gay for you.
It's actually entirely your fault.
Entirely your fault.
Thanks for that, by the way.
That part she took a little bit of time to process, like, because that, you know, sure. but and then, like, by the end of the year, because this was, you know, October, I would say, and by the end of the year, I'd, like, told all my friends, and I was just like, you know, I'm out now. You know, it wasn't a thing. It was just like I was weirdly okay with it for someone going through that. But then, yeah, the rest of my, like, teenage years and high school years were just a succession of, you know, me getting crushes on my friends, and then me telling my friends that I had crushes on them because I'm a dumbass. But even so, like, I told them, and it's like you said, I told them, but with absolutely no expectation of anything coming of it.
Yeah.
But I just felt the need to tell them, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, and it, yeah, like, cause again, like, you realize that there's no hope, there's no point to, like, you know, like, it's nothing's happening, but I still, like, I just thought you should know. Like, and so, like, I feel sorry, like, all my friends, like, in turn, so they had to, like, deal with the, you know, go through the process of dealing with me, like, having a crush on them, and then, you know, and then getting over it, like, and that happened for a while, and then, yeah, as I got older, like, by the end of high school, like, there were two of my friends, like, the two people that I was sort of most close to at that point, at different times, that I really sort of had a lot of feelings for. And again, I told them, and, like, I didn't expect them to like me back at all, and it was just, you know, it was like one of them didn't react as well, but we're still friends. Like, she's just very sort of, like, repressed and innocent and doesn't, you know, understand the world as much, and has to sort of go away and deal with it.
Oh yeah.
But it's fine, like, and we're still friends, and, like, I feel quite lucky and quite privileged, because I did this to all of my friends, and this happened with all of my friends, and, like, yet nothing really bad ever happened to me as a result of this. Like none of them really freaked out or lashed out at me or did anything really, or stopped talking to me or anything like that. Like, I actually sort of am really lucky in that sense that all my friends were all quite, you know, supportive as soon as I told them. Like, even if, like, they sort of had to process the idea of, like, a bomb was a call something that's weird, but, like, you know, I'm very, and I mean, I was at a Catholic girls' school.
Yeah, which is a whole different, probably, dynamic than a lot of people.
Yeah, and I was out from the end of year 8 to the rest of high school, and nothing bad ever happened to me, and so I feel very lucky about that.
I feel like that is extremely interesting, and I wonder about, is it because, like, if Tim were to do the same thing with a bunch of his guy friends over and over again, you know what I mean? Like, that feels like that would be a different experience than girls. You know what I mean?
That is something definitely worth getting into, and I think, I'll just say, I think these kind of stories and these kind of experiences are sort of valuable because, on the outside, it seems like there's just a general idea that you tell one of these stories and it's, oh, girl meets girl, boy meets boy, and you come out, you take the risk, and you're essentially rewarded for it. And then the person you came out to that you had this supposedly unrequited love for is like, oh, I feel the same way, and then you hook up and live happily ever after kind of thing, which is a fantasy that sort of gets perpetuated to some extent, but I don't know how much that's really backed up by reality. So,
well, I've never heard of such a thing. So
I've never experienced such a thing. But it's a story that I don't know, Hollywood likes to sell. You know what I mean? It's a very kind of sellable kind of story. So I think it's. Not to say that never happens. Okay, yes, sometimes it does. You can talk to people where they're like, yeah, I never thought so-and-so felt the same way I did, and then I came out and, bared my soul and blah, 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 and then we hooked up, so on and so forth. But I think the majority of people's experiences are not really that, and the point I'm getting to is that there's no real universal coming out story as much as, there's sort of a streamlined or stereotypical version of how that goes. I think everyone's individual experience is going to be different and necessarily tailored to their own circumstances. And I think that's pretty important to just get across and acknowledge. And if you are someone who is perhaps, questioning or struggling with these kind of questions, just realize if you're not conforming to the expectations that perhaps you've been presented with, that's okay. That's totally okay. You have to live your own truth. You know what I mean? So, to get back to your question, Jenny, of how it might be different depending on, your gender. Did I think something terrible would happen to me if I came out to this one person? We'll call him Josh, just for the sake of calling him something. I mean, not really. It just seemed like, because I knew he was straight. I mean, he was straight. There was no real reason or doubt in my mind. It was like, what am I going to come out to this guy for? Like, we're friends, but I want to be more than friends. I know we can't be more than friends, so what does it benefit me to really be like, hey, by the way, and at the same time, being, a junior, then senior in high school, like, I knew we were going in different directions too, so it's not like we were going to be in each other's lives for a long time. Mm-hmm. As I was like, there's no sense in even going there, really. Did I think he was going to, try to beat my ass or something if I did come out, or was he homophobic? I didn't really think so. I didn't see a reason to, given as complicated as things were already in my head at that point. So yeah, I didn't see the benefit or the gain to me, really.
No, absolutely.
So was there ever a point where, I mean, obviously there was. I mean, like, was there a person that you just like, well, I guess maybe not obviously, but was there a person that you just eventually came out to? Like, because you gotta factor in family here too, not just your friends. Was there, a huge, like, Tim coming out to his family moment, like,
So one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, or maybe perhaps recognized, is that coming out is a bit of a process, in that, number one, it can be a gradual thing, And number two, you kind of have to do it over and over and over again. And in my case, this is a little bit embarrassing to me, in that and I don't think this is unique to me at all. I don't know if I even tried to tell myself this so much as I tried to tell other people that I said I was bi first before I really just took ownership of the fact that, no, yeah, I'm gay. I like dudes exclusively. It's not happening with girls.
Right.
I think that's pretty common, yeah.
It was sort of it was like a bargaining thing. It was like a compromise where I was like, well, if I say I'm bi, maybe that would be more acceptable in a way. And the reason, it's not so much embarrassing as it is almost shameful to me now. I mean, I understand why I did it at the time, but, there's such a thing as bi erasure, especially in gay male culture, where there's like all the no fats, no femmes, asshole gay dudes, right? Like, who have this attitude of, oh, there's no such thing as bi men. They're really just gay and
still in the closet. Yeah, exactly.
In denial, in the closet kind of thing. So that's what they say. And that, yeah, I mean, to an extent, I guess that's what I was doing. But at the same time, I think in contrast to Stacey, I was a little bit more of a late bloomer in that this was probably not until my early 20s that I really came out, so to speak, to people. But at the same time, it's couched within this, oh yeah, I'm bi kind of thing. Which wasn't true. I mean, that was not my truth. It was just kind of what I said and what I used, again, as a compromise. And I feel so badly now that I kind of contributed to that culture of, again, bi erasure, which is very much a thing. Yeah. And that is not to say that bisexual men do not exist. Certainly they do, of course. I think that's absurd to suggest otherwise. But there is that attitude of, oh, it's just a made-up thing. You're in the closet. You're in denial. Whatever. And for me, it was just sort of trying to, I don't know, ease into it and work my way through those issues. And I mean, you also get into issues of where the idea of women can be bi but men can't be, which again is bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So I just am a little bit ashamed that I, in some small way at least, contributed to that. Because there was a time where I tried to say I was bi, but no, I'm not. I can say that now. While bi men do exist, I am not one of them. So
right,
yeah. No, I get you. Like I'm sort of the same in sort of the same boat. Like, because for the longest time I would have considered myself to be bi. Like, if I sort of, you say, like, I'm sort of the opposite. Like, I say that I'm gay because it's easier. Like, it's easier to sort of digest for people, and that's because, like, I mostly like women, but, like, I still found myself attracted to guys for the longest time. Like, I mean, I was in high school. Like, I still liked guys when I saw them. Like, like, at the same time I was coming out, I still had crushes on guys I was, like, playing cricket with or whatever I was doing at that time. Like, yeah, and I mean, I have had sex with a man. I don't know why I said that. That's so weirdly, but oh god. And this was not quite recently, but I mean, I was an adult when it happened. It was only a few years ago, and because, like, it was something I thought I wanted to do, and yeah, but then at some point, again, like, sort of similar to you, like, I realized that like, I may, like, find men attractive, like, aesthetically, but it's really not to the point where I'm not fucking gay. Like,
Right.
really? Because it took me quite a while to use the word lesbian and not feel weird about it, but I think that's just because we are, like you said, like, it's saying bi is less scary than saying lesbian or saying gay man. Like, it's that. And, like, I'm not sort of ashamed of that stage as such, because it didn't feel like I was in denial as much as, like, I genuinely found men attractive until I didn't. Like, up until a certain point, and then I realized...
It was like, up to a degree, sure.
Yeah, but, and then I tried one, and I was like, wow, I'm pretty gay.
You sampled you didn't like it. You'd send it back. Yeah.
And it's absolutely no offense to the man involved.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, I'm super gay. Like, but I think also...
Wait, okay, before you go on, I just want to ask Tim, did you have that same experience?
No.
Okay.
In fact, I am a gold star gay.
All right.
Well done.
Yeah. Well, does it count when you're drunk and you just, fool around? Not go.
Not really. No.
Crazy all out or anything, but just,
Oh,
I don't think that counts, right?
Nah.
Because you're just being funny and carrying on or whatever. But no, I did not really experience like a physical attraction. Okay, for any of the like girls that I was friends with or in school or whatever. I just while I could recognize, okay, I get it, that's a hot girl, but am I sitting here getting a boner? No.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and circle gets the square. We'll be upfront about that. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it was just sort of I don't know if I was trying to fool myself or fool anybody else or just I don't know a process of getting to the point that I needed to get to. As far as the just coming out thing, it was, friends, it always kind of starts with, I think. And then with family, I looked at it like this, I was a very straight arrow kind of kid growing up. I didn't, go out every night. I didn't drink or do drugs, party, throw down. I got pretty much not straight A's, but really good grades. Just was not a troublemaker at all. And I don't know. I just sort of had the attitude of, Mom, Dad, y'all had it really fucking easy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just going to have to let me have this, if nothing else.
You've been saving all these points up to...
I mean, in a way, yeah, it was sort of, I was like kind of cashing in my chips in a sense. I mean, not that I knew it at the time, but I was like, I mean, considering what y'all got into and, you divorced and, I mean, my mom, I was kind of raised by a single mom. I'm not going to get into like her whole history, but suffice to say, I could have and should have been a huge fuck up. I mean, huge fuck up. And I wasn't. So it was kind of like, if you're going to have a problem with this, then you can just go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't, and I'm not the type of person who's like super high on myself and have all this confidence in the world or anything. It was just like, these are the facts, people. I mean, that's just where I was. And
yeah, no, I get it. Like, you're a good kid. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You can handle this one thing.
Yeah, like, like, this is one more thing you can point to in the, where did I go wrong sort of thing. Like, no. In every respect, you had it fucking easy. And you still do, so don't give me a bunch of shit now. But I don't know.
But it went, like, how did they take it? You know, like, did they already kind of know, and they were just waiting on you to say it, or like, was it this shock factor? Is like sit down, or like you said earlier, a gradual like thing?
Stacey chuckled, so I feel like she should go first.
Okay, I'll jump in and save Tim. It made me laugh when you said that, because my parents knew. I think after a certain point, you can look at me and you just fucking know. Like, especially now. I look like, that's what I said when I was meeting y'all in New Orleans. Like, keep a lookout for a huge dyke walking like, fair dinkum, that's what I said. But no, like that, and they knew, and I could tell when they knew, because at some point, and I don't know when it was, and I'm super scared that my mom's like listening behind the door right now. But
oh my god, it's fine.
But like at some point I realized, because like, you know how when you're a kid and like your parents sort of say things to you like, okay, when you grow up and get married and blah blah blah, like. Oh, yeah. My mum would say that to me, but then at some point in my life, I don't even know when, at some point she like rewrote the script and was like, you know, when you grow up and get a boyfriend or girlfriend, blah 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 blah, blah, and she would just go on, she would just slip that in, and wouldn't say, and like that was the only way in which she acknowledged it, and I never said anything. I just was like, okay, she said that, and like but that was her way, I guess, of like acknowledging it and telling it was. But the thing with my parents is that because I never actually came out to them. I never like sat them down and told them.
I'm glad you said that.
I never told them because I didn't have to, because I knew that they knew.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't want to have an embarrassing conversation, so I'm just not going to have it. And I don't need to tell them; they already know. Like, why are we having this conversation? And like, it's not for any reason other than that, because like my parents are literally like the most chill parents on the planet. And I never really thought that like they'd have a problem with it, or they'd disapprove, or I'd be in trouble or anything like that. Like, absolutely not. Like, my parents are like cool as shit. But it was just I knew that they knew after a certain point, and I just didn't want to like have an embarrassing conversation with them, basically. So I just let it go, and I just let them carry on knowing already. Because I remember actually the first time I brought a girl over here, because like I still live at home, by the way. I should mention. I brought a girl over, and so I told my mom, I'm like, oh, my mom, this girl's coming over to stay tomorrow night. And she was like, oh, okay. And that was the end of the conversation. And I was like, okay. And then like I walked away, and then I started thinking like, maybe she didn't get it. Maybe she just thought one of my friends is staying over or something. So like I went back, and I was like, like when I say she's like sleeping over, like I mean she's sleeping over. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I got it the first time. Okay, that was it, and that was literally like the only conversation we ever had about it. But in hindsight, I actually regret a little bit not telling them, like not having the conversation with them, because I think it hurt their feelings that I didn't, because like they think I avoided it because I was worried about their reaction or something, or like I felt like I couldn't tell them, and that's really like not the case. That's not what it was. I just, but I think that's how they took it, because my mum said something to me once, and I sort of realized that she was sort of a little bit hurt that I didn't do that with them, like sort of didn't trust them enough to do it. But I feel bad about that, because that wasn't the reason. Like they already knew, and it was fine. So I just left it at that. So I
don't mean to laugh.
No, it's fine.
I was just thinking, like, as far as it hurt their feelings, while I totally get that. At the same time, there's a part of me that, not so much today, but kind of, again, back then in my early to mid-20s, was sort of like, fuck your feelings. Only because I just have an attitude of, children don't get to choose their parents. Parents don't get to choose their children either, but they do choose to bring them into the world. At least to a certain extent, more so than you choose to be brought into the world. You know what I mean? Right. So it's kind of like, you better unconditionally love your children, because they do not have to unconditionally love you. That is not to say I had bad parents by any means, but it's just sort of the attitude that I developed, was just kind of take it or leave it, especially considering that I gave him a pretty easy ride. I don't mean to rest on my laurels, but that was the reality of it. And the funny thing was, my parents were split up since the time I was probably 2 years old, largely raised by my mom, but my dad has always been in my life. And my mom, I think, as Jenny knows, is a pretty socially liberal person, very accepting. My dad, kind of not so much, although he is more cultured than the rest of his family, I will say, just by virtue of the fact that he married my mom in the first place. I mean, he does kind of get dragged back towards that somewhat unfortunate, very, let's say, conservative direction, but I think he is more, again, open-minded than perhaps the rest of than the stock that he comes from. I'll put it that way. I think he actually knew and had a better idea more than my mom did. Not to say she was totally clueless, but maybe there was a degree of denial with her, where it was never like, Stacey, you mentioned the conversation, the script kind of flipped at some point, where it was like, you're not talking so much about marrying a great man, but your husband or wife kind of thing. Like, that was never. It was always, you're going to get married, have babies, I'll have grandkids kind of thing. Heteronormative narrative kind of coming from my mom. So, I think perhaps she's a little disappointed, but it's not like she ever thought less of me. At least I never got that impression. I was never made to feel that way, but at the end of the day, coming out is such a bizarre concept when you think about it, right? And it's almost shocking that it's something we even still have to do, considering that people ask things such as, oh, when did you know you were gay? And I guess that's a pretty innocuous question, but I'm like, I don't know. When did you know you were straight? When did you come out as straight? What was that like? And I'm not trying to belittle your point or your question, Jenny. It's just a very, very interesting sort of concept for me to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, and what you're doing is essentially you're telling a close friend or a family member the kind of sex that you prefer. And that's something they don't have to do, right? I mean, they don't have to go through that process.
Right.
It's the whole experience is just, it drives home the fact that this whole world, it was built for straight people.
And I think that sort of, why do we even do this sort of thing? Like, it's, while society is still so heteronormative, people still have to come out because people are just going to assume otherwise, and it's just Like, I get you. Like, it's silly when you stop and think about it. Like, because it is. Like, hi, I prefer to have sex with men instead of women. Just so you know. Yeah. But it's something we have to do because because of the way society is and the assumptions that we all make about each other based on sexual preference and based on straightness. And, it's something that you feel people need to know about you in order for them to know who you are,
Right. And in a way, it does piss me off a little bit, just the fact that you are obligated to go through this whole production, so to speak, just to make clear, well, here's what makes my dick hard. It just drives home how different and how different and inhuman you're viewed by the rest of the world. It's not really about, oh, what's this one person going to think of me after I've, admitted this and confessed and come out and bared my soul. It's more just an acknowledgement of, hey, I am something the world doesn't want. So I'm telling you that's kind of privileged information. So make what you will of that, basically.
What if
hey, I'm a weirdo.
What if straight people had to identify by their kinks or whatever? What if they're just like, I like feet. I like to suck toes.
No, you know what it is. It's hi guys. We're very close, and I feel like it's I really feel like I need to tell you that I'm into the shit covered speculum.
What an excellent callback. I love you for that.
See, imagine if that guy had to do that for everybody met.
Right. Or
Yep.
I mean, yeah. When you say that, it just sounds ridiculous.
It's sad in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of great stupid coming out examples in my life because like I said, after a certain point, everyone knows, you can look at me and just tell, and I get it. But at the same time, I also got really weird about it. Like I said, I was fine at 13 and I accepted it and I just moved on with my life. And then when I became an adult, when I was at uni, I got kind of weird about it again. And I was just like, maybe I don't fucking want to be gay, I don't know. And so I was sort of going through that as an adult rather than at the time. And so during that part of my life, there were moments where I would, take my, be talking to my friend or, be alone with someone and stuff, and I'd be like, you do know that, that I'm gay, right? And they, and to a man, they would basically all just, laugh in my face and be like, Bob, we fucking know.
Well, when you put it that way.
Everyone fucking, who the fuck do you think you're fooling at this point? And I'd be like, okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's even after you come out, you internalize all these kind of shitty messages, and you can go kind of one of two ways, or I guess maybe somewhere down the middle, and just become really depressed and doubting and self-loathing, or at the other end of the spectrum, you can be like, fuck this world, I'm just going to live how I want to live, even though I'm not meeting the expectations of how this world was designed, and tell the rest of the world, fuck you, I'm not going to move, you move.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people fall in the middle of those extremes, and it definitely does mess with you. And there's the whole coming out thing gets very old up to a certain point where you're just, there are people that I guess I'm technically not out to, but at the same time, I'm old enough at this point that they either know, or if they don't know, it's not really worth going there, because you have to pick your battles, right? And
yeah, go on, sorry.
you know what someone's reaction is going to be just based on your relationship with them, whether they're friend, family member, or whatever. And it's I'm 34, going on 35 now, and I don't need your validation. I don't need your acceptance. I don't really give a shit what your opinion is about my sexual orientation.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to spare myself from it, because I know it's not going to be anything good. And, you can take it or leave it, basically. And it's almost I don't know, you can almost see that as a don't ask, don't tell kind of compromise, but my attitude is more like, I'm not going to sit them down and have the conversation with them, because it's not worth it to me.
No, exactly.
It's not that kind of relationship.
Yeah, it's just none of their business. Like you said, like it's sort of weird and invasive in a way to sit someone down and say, here's who I want to have sex with. And so, like, yeah, like, I agree. You get to a point in life where you just, like, you don't need to sort of come out to everyone you meet. And, yeah, and there are people in your life where it's like, it's just none of their business. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to do that with them, because why? Like, I agree. And, like,
I'm a pretty private person, which may sound surprising, granted, based on this podcast. But, I don't know. To put it another way, I'm either all in or all out when it comes to relationships. So if I'm not close to somebody, I'm going to play it pretty close to the vest and kind of keep them in the dark about all aspects of my personal life, sexuality or otherwise.
Well, I can attest to that, because, we were in a group together, and I really didn't know one way or the other. We didn't really, you didn't say anything, and I didn't ask, and it was just, not an issue. Until I did know. It's like you pick up on stuff and you're like, okay, well, all right. That's fine.
And there was a group of people who kind of already knew, and anyone I didn't already know, I was comfortable enough with, or didn't feel judged by, that it was fine. It wasn't like I'm going to hide that. I'm way past the point of hiding that about myself. Again, it's not so much about being in the closet as it is, maybe you're standing in the closet with the door wide open, so there's no real surprise really at this point. It's kind of your own ignorance if you don't see it. But I'm not going to take you aside or anything. But it just comes down to how comfortable I am with the person, with the relationship, whether I'm going to divulge or even go there. And I mean, with you, Jenny, it was like no question, really. I didn't feel like I was going to be judged or treated differently. And I mean, if I was going to be, then wow, I sure had you pegged wrong. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just you just sort of have a way of feeling these things out as you get older. And
yeah.
I will say that, Stacey, you mentioned a lot of people just, in terms of your interactions with your friends or whoever, it's like they kind of know without you really needing to say anything. Even if you do say something, it's kind of like they roll their eyes or whatever. I think I have, I don't know how to put this really, like a degree of straight passing privilege.
I was about to say, I think, like from what I can see of you, I guess, like, and from the way, like, you talk and everything, like, you could probably pass as straight, like. Yeah,
and that's a weird thing. I mean, I'm sure there are certain tells, if I'm drinking or interacting with someone, I don't know.
If you're drinking, yes.
if I'm in a perhaps.
If you're watching SummerSlam and Randy Orton comes out.
Yeah. If I'm watching a legacy tag team match circa 2009, it may be a different story.
Good.
I'll just put, generally, I've been told I do not present as outwardly gay.
Yeah,
you can't.
No, but I get that. Yeah.
Obviously, you cannot make a definitive conclusion based on clothing or behavior or whatever. But I think we can all agree it's less of a surprise for certain people than it is others.
Like me.
Sure, and that's obviously not a reflection on you or anyone else's expression.
But it's just the way it is,
It's the way it is,
look gay.
Sure.
I walk like a gay. I dress like a gay.
And by the same token, it's like I'm not putting on a straight act or anything. It's just a matter of your own personal style and personality. I mean,
yeah, and it's just based on stereotypes. You know what I mean? Like it's not a reflection of how gay you are or how gay I am or whatever. Because it's just there are very, very feminine women who are gay, and there are very and that's all it is really is just in terms of masculinity and femininity, and which is such a reductive way to look at to look at it, obviously. But that's just how people react in those snap judgments. Oh my God, seriously. Speaking of which, this is sort of tangential to the discussion, but just speaking of passing and the way we present ourselves, as I've repeated, I look like a gay.
I am the only gay in the village.
I'm the only gay in the village.
I don't know if anyone else will get that. But.
No, I get it. Little Britain. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I present quite masculine, and I wear men's clothes, and I don't wear makeup, and I have short hair now, and which is fine, and I find it pretty hilarious, when people think these things about me or whatever. It doesn't bother me. The only time in my whole entire life that I wish I looked a little bit more like a girl is when I ever have to go to the bathroom in public place. Because when I walk into the women's bathroom in public, if there are women in there, at least one of them will look at me. Every single time. And that's not an exaggeration. It happens every single time, ever since I cut my hair short. And it doesn't matter how I wear it or whatever else. Someone will look at me. And the amount of policing of people in public bathrooms just is astounding. And I didn't really grasp how much it goes on until it started happening to me. Mm-hmm. Because they do. I walk in and people will double take, visibly double take and look at me. And for some of them that's all it is, but some of them they can't comprehend. They're just shit, there's a guy in the women's bathroom, what the fuck is going on? And they can't handle it. And so it's fascinating to watch people's thought process play out, because you can see it on their faces, right? Their first thought is, holy shit, that's a guy in the women's bathroom. And their second thought is, but he looks like he knows he's supposed to be in here. And so those two things don't compute with each other to me. I'm very confused. And so the third thought is, oh shit, I'm in the wrong bathroom. That's what they think. They think they got it wrong. Even if there's 10 other women in the bathroom, they look at me and they just think, oh shit, I'm in the wrong bathroom. And there are times when I have seen women literally stop and walk back out to the door and check the sign to make sure they're in the right bathroom because they've seen me in there.
Huh.
I would never forget it. This one time, I swear to God, I was washing my hands. I was already washing my hands, so I was near the door. And this girl walks into the bathroom. She walks past me and into the bathroom, and she's eyeballing me the whole time. I can see her watching me the whole time. She walks all the way in, around the corner, into a stall. She's about to close the door, and then she just thinks, no, this can't be right. And she walks all the way out past me, out the door, to check the sign. And then she's like, oh, okay, it's right. It just must be a die, and walks back in. And I saw this whole thing play out on her face, and she was looking at me the whole time, and I saw everything, and I just think, like, you were already in the store. Like, you could have just peed and checked later. But
like, what does it matter? You know,
what the fuck does it matter? Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's amazing because like people, they say things to me too, and it's so amazing. Again, it's so hilarious because they're being so nice about it, because they're trying to be helpful, because they think I've made a mistake and I'm in the wrong bathroom, and so they look at me and they're like, oh, hi, this is the women's bathroom, like, as if they're expecting me to be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I gotta get out of here. Like, you know, but they just...
Sorry, I don't look like you. I mean...
like, oh, excuse me, this is the women's bathroom. And I say, yeah, I know, it's okay, I'm a girl. But like once I open my mouth, again, I sound like a 5-year-old girl. Once I open my mouth, they realize I'm a girl, and they're just like, oh, okay, it's just a big dive. Like, but it just, and like...
It happens. Like, the absurdity of these things, like, you know, bathroom bills where...
Well, exactly, and that's the point. Like, because once I open my mouth, they know I'm a girl, and the situation is resolved. Yeah. If it comes to that, it's fine. I can't imagine how much of a struggle it must be for trans people who are going to the bathroom and who, you know, maybe have a deep voice, or maybe aren't passing as much as I, you know, apparently can't even pass, but like they. Right. I can't pass as a woman, so fucking who? What hope do we have?
You know, like I've been around you in person, and
it's not funny. I'm just.
But I find it funny, but it's also serious when you think about the people whom it must actually affect. Like we said, when you think about bathroom bills and things like that, because this is the people that it's going to affect. Trans people who can't pass as much and who do have, you know, that gender dysphoria and who have these problems stemming from not being able to pass. And so how attacked they must feel every time they go, like, because if I get it every time I go to the bathroom, they must fucking get it every time they go to the bathroom. And it must be fucking hell, right? Like,
assholes who are assuming sexual orientation, or assuming gender as well, and it's like, how the fuck are you going to police that, you know? Like, you just mentioned, like, you don't even pass, you are female, identify as female, and like, it's like, is somebody going to stop you? And I mean, the fucking gender police, is this what we're coming to? It's so fucking absurd. So
people are just trying to pee. Like, just let them pee.
Right. Yes.
That's what I always think. Like, I'm just trying to pee, leave me alone. And it's such bullshit, because like there are unisex bathrooms in our world that we come across, whether it's just that this is the only bathroom in the restaurant, or an airplane bathroom, or the one you have at home if you live with someone of the opposite fucking gender. Like,
yes.
And you don't question it, but then when there's a sign on the door, suddenly it gives you the right to police who can come in and can't. Like, just fucking let people pee in peace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Jenny, you were saying something.
No, you said way more important shit than I would ever say. But, like, I've been around you in person, and it's like, you're the most non-threatening, like, person ever.
That is true.
Because, like,
that's going to be written on my tombstone, basically.
Right. It's like, even if you were a dude, like, still, like, come in here, because, like, obviously, you're fine. I mean, like, that, or maybe that's just me, like, I don't know, but you have, if people are going to judge you by your looks, then they can judge you by your aura, or whatever, I guess. And, you know, in no way do you come off as anything that would be threatening to any male or female in a bathroom. So that just, it just blows my mind.
I'm the least threatening person on earth, really.
Not at all.
I can see that. Yeah.
That's why I'm no good at football, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you want to talk about dating at all? And just how kind of shit it is?
In what sense?
No, I'm not going to lie. I'm intensely curious about this.
Are you?
With you guys, because, like, I've never, like, as much as I adore you both, and I feel like we know each other pretty well, we've never really talked about it. Like, I don't know anything really about your dating history or anything like that. So, and that's just one of those things.
Well, it's because we met 5 minutes ago, Jenny.
Right, you're right.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I've not, like, as many times as I've been drunken on Skype with Tim, I've never asked him about it. So, but that's up to you guys, how you want to navigate that. But I'm saying there's an audience here of one who's interested, at the very least.
All right, fair enough. At the end of the day, dating, it's a numbers game, and I think a losing one, the smaller those numbers become.
Yeah.
Being gay, just statistically, your dating pool is smaller, way smaller. Like, we're talking 5% of what straight people have to work with, and that's if you're being generous, I would say. And it's potentially non-existent for some people. I mean, depending on your individual social circle, if you live in like a small town.
Exactly. Like, your access to, like, a gay community or a gay scene. Like, I never knew many gay people.
Yeah.
And it was actually, typically only when I started playing football, Aussie rules football, to put it that way. No, that means, nothing to you people, but, like,
what do you mean by you people, Stacey?
You people.
Americans. All right.
I started playing football, and one of the reasons, like, I went, like, for, like, a come and try it day, and because my friend was playing for them, and one of the reasons I started playing football was because I looked at this team, and I was just like, there are so many gays here. I will finally be able to meet the gays. And
it's a buffet.
It was, like, I think everyone, like, walks in the door of that club and just looks at, like, this girl and just like, okay. Yeah, and
you're a gay.
Yeah, it's like this, like, king of the gays on this football team, and I say that, like, with love, because she's just, like, it's immediately apparent that she's gay, but she's also super hot in a gay way, and it's just like, I don't know how else to explain it. She is, like, I'm pretty sure, like, straight girls walk in and see her and just think, oh yeah, I get it, like, because that's what happened. I'm throwing them under the bus, not that they're ever going to hear this thing, but, like, a straight girl walked into the club and met this girl, and then they ended up dating, and they're still dating. So there you go.
Wow.
I'm getting wildly off the point. Yeah, and, like, I never really knew any gays until I started playing footy and met some and started going out with them and sort of, being around gay people, because unless you are, like you said, like, unless you are, the chances of actually, well, now that I've said that, I'm gonna sort of call myself a liar a little bit, because maybe it's because I'm not really in the gay scene, because, like, I don't play football anymore, and so I don't go out to the gay stuff anymore. I will say, in my life, personally, I have been with, in some way, I've been with more straight women than I have actual lesbians.
Okay.
Like, outwardly straight, obviously.
Right. Identify as straight.
Yeah. But I think partly it's because I'm not in the gay scene as much, and I don't meet as many lesbians as I do, confused straight women, I guess. But,
right.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I'm not sure what I was going to say other than, I wasn't sure how I was going to say it, other than there are definitely confused guys that exist as well, but they may be more reluctant to... I
was about to say, I feel like...
And I'm not trying to, again, feed into stereotypes or anything, but there are different gender dynamics, you know?
Yeah, I would imagine that's true. I feel like in our society, I feel like is the thing. It's a lot more easier, I would say, for a woman to do something like that, or to admit something like that, or try something like that, than it is for a guy, I would imagine. Because, you know, you just don't...
I mean...
because, again, it's
trying to choose my words very carefully. Because it's women can are like almost... I don't even want to say allowed, because women get shit on so horribly badly in society in pretty much all aspects, straight or gay, but it's kind of like you hear about so-and-so went through an experimental phase in college, and it's sort of a almost fist-pumping high-five sort of moment with dude bros. And
yeah, well, that's the key, is that it's okay for women because
it's hot.
Because it's hot to men. Because men find it acceptable.
It's hot to men. Yeah.
And it's acceptable to masculinity, whereas men doing it is not acceptable to masculinity. You know what I mean? And so that's why.
I mean, you bang 100 women a week, and you suck one dick in your entire life, and you're a faggot. I mean, that's sort of what society is going to label you as, because we're a garbage fucking piece of shit culture. But you know that we're complete trash. But I get what you're saying, and that's
but it's true. It's because of the gender dynamics, and it's because of how, you know, toxic masculinity is, and how it, you know, sort of suppresses anything that is not hypermasculine, and therefore, you know, and it finds women doing it acceptable, not because, you know, being gay is feminine, because it's not, but because, you know, the male gaze finds women getting it on attractive. So,
exactly. And it sort of precludes the opportunity for just the meet cute. Like, if I run across or run into just somebody in the grocery store and I think, oh, well, that's a cute guy, I wonder if I'm his type. Again, 90+% of the time, no, I'm not his type. I'm not the right gender. He's straight. Yeah. It's never going to happen. So, I mean, it just limits you to frequenting gay places, gay spaces. You have to do gay things, and all about community, all about support. Great, but look, it fucking sucks.
And it's also very insular. Like,
it is.
I know I can say enough about the gay scene in Sydney, for example, that like all lesbians like have got with each other and know everyone and know everyone's exes and everyone that's been with everyone, and like you can't date a lesbian in Sydney without them like having dated like 3 of your friends. You know what I mean? Like that's the gay scene is like.
It is. And it's like, straight people, if you think it's frustrating trying to match with anyone on Tinder, you think that shit gets old, try working with like the same 10 guys, the same 10 girls that you've already fucked, you've already fucked out, you've already swiped left on. Like, I'm being a bit hyperbolic here, but not really. You know, like I have so, and not to get off on a rant, but I have so very limited sympathy for straight guys in particular. You know, these dudes who are, let's say, straight white men, early 20s to mid 20s, who just constantly complain about their inability to get laid, and it's like, oh, you know, I'm just such a loser and can't meet anybody. Fuck, I haven't gotten any in over 3 months. Just can't stand it. fuck off, dude. Like, you know how comparatively easy it is for you to meet someone, whether it's to make a meaningful connection or just to hook up, like, comparatively speaking. Just stop thinking and just realize that for a minute. And this whole thing, like, incels, are you fucking kidding me? Just step out of your own headspace, for God's sake. It's just, anyway, this is getting off quite a bit here, but I
appreciate your point. Yeah, like, it's a very small pool we're swimming in here.
Right, that's her point.
Do you think that any of that has to do, maybe less in Stacey's case, but Tim, I mean, you know, you're in the South. Do you think that still matters? Do you think that it's a factor? Does it ever make you want to relocate?
I mean, in a way, that's somewhat moderated by just my personality, which is, I mean, I've always lived in the South. I'm used to the culture here. Do I like the culture? I don't know, but if I were to move to, like, New York, like a big city with a big gay population, right, I don't know that I would really fit in. You know what I mean? It would be a very tough adjustment. And
do you feel like you're a terrible gay? Because I feel like I'm a terrible gay.
Yeah.
I suck at it so bad.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I mean,
no,
yeah.
100%.
I mean, I'm not, like, super activist. I'm not part of the gay community TM, really.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a huge one here. It's just sort of, I mean, this shit just gets old, you know what I mean? You just want to go out and live your life and not be consumed by the fact of, if I ever want to meet somebody, I've got to go to this shitty-ass fucking one gay bar in my city kind of deal. And, I mean, even if you live in a larger city, then, yeah, they're going to say...
Yeah, I will say in that sense that we do have it a bit worse than you, because in any gay scene, I think in any city, like, there are 100 gay bars to, like, one lesbian bar.
Right. Yeah.
For real. Anyway, go on. That's the real, like, there's literally only one club for me to go to if I want to go out. Like, maybe two.
Well, I mean, really, none of those bars exist, Stacey. So, I mean, you know.
Well, yeah. Well,
right.
You know,
if they actually existed, then yeah.
In the fictional world of Australia.
Right. Yeah. Well, even in the fictional world of Australia, there's a the suburb of Newtown is, like, sort of like the gay, more like the lesbian centre of Sydney, really of Australia, because this would be the largest gay, like, scene in Australia. Like, but there's still, like, only, like, a couple of actual dedicated, like, gay, like, lesbian clubs in, like, the entire city.
Yeah, and I just feel like even in a bigger city where there's a proper scene, so to speak, me personally, not speaking for anyone else, I would almost feel the obligation or just the weight of, okay, well, now it's time to go out and do gay things, and it's just, part of that does speak to, you feel like, yes, you're a shitty gay, but on the other hand, not something straight people have to think about or do or deal with. So...
It's hard to be a shitty straight person. Like,
it is. Yes.
unless you're in the closet, it's hard to be a shitty straight person.
Yes. And I'm not trying to shit on straight people here, but
no.
You guys can take it, sir.
Take it.
I don't know. What else? I mean, geez, this has just been all over the place. I know.
I don't even know.
Well, all right. One thing I'll point out is you and I both, Stacey, I'm glad we have representation from two genders right now, but we are both speaking from a white point of view. that definitely does not describe the black gay or the Asian gay or the Muslim gay or whatever other kind of intersectionality that might come into play. That just totally comes with its own additional set of social and cultural expectations that I'm sure are just a fucking nightmare. So, I mean, there are degrees to this experience, certainly.
We've been we've been airing our grievances for a while, but honest to God, in terms of my experience, I am so fucking privileged and lucky to have had the experience that I've had. Because like I said, I got through high school and nothing bad happened to me. My parents do not give a shit. Nobody's, nothing bad has ever come to me from being gay. But not a lot of people can say that. And you're right. A lot of it has to do with people's background and ethnicity. I know people in real life who can't come out because of their ethnicity and then what their family will say. I know people like that, and it fucking sucks, you know?
It just goes to show, as regular sort of run-of-the-mill gay that we are, listen to how
gay.
Yeah, or as bad as we perhaps are. It's just we still have this list of grievances, which are pretty legitimate, I think, and hopefully have given folks something to think about. But we're just speaking for ourselves, not even getting into all these other dimensions of people who have it comparatively a lot harder. And I just, my heart goes out for them. This absolutely. Sick, sad world, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Jenny, you still with us?
I'm here. I just, honestly, I appreciate you both so much for all of this, honestly. As much as you feel run-of-the-mill and then acknowledge your own privilege within, your own situations, I think that's kind of amazing. Like I said, it's no secret that I adore you both. And I hope that maybe this conversation has maybe opened some eyes or dropped some knowledge or made somebody laugh at the very fucking least.
Yeah.
You can't laugh at this, then go.
Right. And maybe somebody has identified with it in some way, or, you both might get some fan mail, which you should. You fucking should.
And that would be, if you want to compare notes, sure, feel free to hit me up. Stacey, I don't know how you feel about that.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to speak for you. Okay, very good.
No, I know you both to be, extremely, as much as Tim hates people, for the most part.
Yeah.
You're never gonna be a dick to somebody who reaches out to you in an earnest way, or
right.
No,
or just to say I appreciate your story, or anything like that. And not to be self-indulgent, but I think it's good. I think I've thoroughly been entertained and touched and have a new appreciation for you both.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. What was that movie that came out earlier this year? Love, Simon?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a part of me that looks at that, and I'm kind of Googling it right now because I'm trying to, again, being a bad gay here, but just refreshing my memory. There's a very bitter, cynical, bitchy queen part of me that looks at this movie and is like, oh yeah, this poor little gay teenager who looks like Nick Robinson, I'm sure you have it so bad. But that is me being me. That is not me, like, trying to be representative of a good gay person, let's say.
Because we're terrible gay people.
Because we're terrible at it, yes. And that's just my crappy personality as someone who doesn't like most things, right? As you all know, Jenny. Because on the other hand, I'm just happy that we've gotten to a place where, I am not the target demographic for a movie like this as a bitter, cynical, bitchy queen, right?
But little wide-eyed teenage
exactly.
boys, yeah, definitely.
Exactly. And I'm just, there's a part of me that's just glad that general gay audiences can have a movie that's just a shitty rom-com like all the others.
Literally, that is all I want. As a gay, that is all I want, because I like rom-coms. I like police procedurals where the leads bicker and then get together in the end. Like, I just want that for myself.
It's just ultimate vote of confidence, right?
Yeah. And that's why I'm, like, I look for it everywhere. And so I latch onto it when I find it. Because, I was telling Jenny that I, have started watching, Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow and, sort of DC shows. But it's because there are gays in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like lesbians in them.
And, real...
I'm drawn to it.
Real touching stories, too. Genuine stories.
Real romance, stories between them. And, they're real adult lesbians, right. And it's not caricature and everything.
Right.
And so I'm drawn to that when I find it, because it's so rare that I find it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And while I emphasize that in real life there is no universal coming out story, I think that's true and important. I do get the whole, streamlining of the all caps coming out story as just sort of a necessary evil and just sort of a concession to maximize accessibility to audiences that really need that, and that are going to respond to it. Just to kind of try to bring it full circle. I don't want to totally shit on the efforts that we've seen in pop culture, as we are a podcast that is talking pop to, have representation. That not all of it's going to be great, certainly, but it's a hell of a lot better than, the 90s when, I think Stacey and I were growing up, and for me personally, the only real reflection of myself or representation that you saw on screen was the one gay character on Melrose Place who had a lot of dates but could barely ever even hold hands with his boyfriend, Yeah.
It's in the 90s it was Xena who had
there you go.
A girlfriend that she could never acknowledge as such, and then, and they could never do anything with it, exactly. It was all implied up to a certain point, and now at least it's finally just, they could do it out in the open now.
Yes, the subtext is text, and
it's main text.
What was not explicit is rather explicit nowadays, so I guess that can be counted as progress. So, very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's about that time to wrap it up, but I'm kind of don't want to.
Okay. Do you have other questions?
No, I don't. But it's just I love you guys. So it's like, let's keep talking. But I know we gotta.
We can keep talking. This could be the first ever week-long talking episode.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel like we're at we are at a natural endpoint, but this is where we would get into some plugs. But some of what Stacey has been up to, I don't know. I'd sort of like to have not a huge long conversation about, but needs more than lip service. Because Stacey, I think you've had a very good 24 hours in terms of
not been bad. I know where you're going with this, and yeah, I was at work last night trying in vain to sleep and was unsuccessful at that endeavor. And so, 4 a.m, I rolled over and looked at my phone, and I see Mr. Justin Zero texting me, and all he said was, Melina. It was just yelled at me. I was like, okay. And so I went on Twitter, and I found that Melina, the wrestler, had read my article about her that just dropped this week on Place to Be Nation, and she read it and she loved it and said something on Twitter about it, and which created a bit of a whirlwind, which was, so this is not the worst 4 a.m. I've ever had.
Right. And I certainly very well deserved. This is referring to Stacey's Divas Deep Dive, which you can find on PlaceToBeNation.com right now. You've done 4 entries in that series, I believe, at the time of this report.
This week. Yeah, because Melina, just is this week's.
Yeah. And I love this. I think that, I don't know, I'm just going to sing your praises here because I feel like you just bring a perspective that it really ought to be revelatory. It isn't to anyone who has watched professional wrestling for any length of time and has been dismissive of women's wrestling, prior to this women's revolution that we're living in currently. You're focusing on and giving praise to some of the performers from an era that is particularly maligned and highlighting the hardships and the double standards that they faced. And I've said before that this is just something that does not get talked about, or at least it doesn't get talked about in a way that is sane or fair in the way that you were doing.
I'm not sure sane is the word.
I kind of think it is because it just seems like you're not so much hot taking here, which is so popular nowadays, as you are just kind of confronting people with their own kind of shitty attitudes and misogynistic comments that have existed over the years. I'm particularly thinking back to this Diva Search era, which I kind of think of as circa, 2005 through 2012, probably. And it's always bothered me, just looking back on reviews of those women's matches, even by, so-called pundits, where they're not really focused on the work itself. It always turns into some snide remark about the personal appearance of the women, how they, speculation as to how they got the job, which is totally unfounded in many cases, of course. And it's really gross and inappropriate, and it's not limited to just these shitlords on Reddit, right, who say anything and everything. I mean, this goes all the way up to, Dave Meltzer, who was just, the last bastion of work rate in professional wrestling or whatever. If you read any of his negative reviews on women's matches from this time period, it's pretty gross, and it's pretty fucked up, and it's wrong. And it just, to me, it's like, there's almost like a vile streak of toxic masculinity that is just endemic to the wrestling industry, and gosh, it somehow it's a like kind in its fan base. Yeah, who knew? So wow. I think it's very important that you're, kind of raising awareness that these women had so many factors working against them. Talk about the lack of experience. They're just thrown out there. The lack of training, never taking a bump before their first match on national television, just absurd. The working conditions, the lack of time that they get, all these things that no one ever takes into account when they look at these matches and just, judge them so harshly rather than the factors surrounding them. So I have really loved this series. I think it's important. I think now I just kind of lamented the fact that it was not getting the exposure that I thought it should, but I was so happy, for me today or earlier, hours ago, to see that Melina retweeted it, and I know how much a fan you are of hers.
As anyone can read, yeah.
Yeah. The timing could not have been better, but this is a fantastic series on PlaceToBeNation.com, and I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, I think that for somebody who, like me, who is not aware of any of this, honestly, and all of it's new to me, so it's what comes through is your love of these women and also your knowledge of wrestling, like technically. That comes through quite a bit too, because you seem to notice things and are able to explain things in a way that I even understand, which it's not always as easy, when you're trying to learn something like I've been trying to learn this. So, you just have a way of saying things that people just, it just resonates with them. So it's been awesome, and I can't wait to read some more.
Well, thank you very much, both of you. Like, I really do appreciate you saying all that, and I appreciate everyone who has been like sort of saying positive things to me about it and been enjoying them, because honestly, I'm just glad anyone is enjoying it, because I am enjoying so much writing it that, like, I'm just happy if one person enjoys reading it, because I'm having too much fun on my end. Like, I have been, like, talking about the divas and writing about them and talking about their wrestling, like, for as long as I can remember, just sort of on various, like, message boards and forums like that. And yeah, it's just, I've just always, for some reason, paid attention to them and always just judged them as wrestlers, and not as pieces of ass.
Right.
Like, and like, it just, like, because I don't watch wrestling for that, honestly. I'm not particularly attracted to, most of them. But I just have always watched the work. And because of all the things that I can see that they go through, and particularly in terms of, like, not getting any time and, and not being pushed and not having any attention paid to them and just being dismissed, like, I could see what they're able to do despite that, despite everything. And so I sort of in turn appreciate how much they are actually able to do, fighting all of these battles at once and still managing to have a match I enjoyed at the end of it. Because the thing is, it's not just about like the struggle and about all the things that they had to go through, like, and it's not like I heard Aaron say on the air like recently that, like, I'm making excuses for them, and I know he was joking a little bit, but, like, it's not just about that. Like, I got all the excuses out early because, to me, like, these are matches that I genuinely enjoy, and this is wrestling that I genuinely enjoy for its own sake, and I'm just sort of trying to explain why I can still enjoy it, even though it has all these things going against it. But I'm looking at the work, and I'm seeing a bomb-ass 3-minute match, and I'm like, well, shit, that's a bomb-ass match. Like, and so it's just, and it is the fact that, like, I always feel like I'm the only one paying attention to it. Like, and it always felt like that until the Women's Revolution, until people started paying attention to the NXT women, and then they went to the main roster, and the main roster had it as well. But, like, up until that point, it always felt like it was just me, and I'm just, like, shouting, into the ether about them, and I'm the only one. So I in the beginning, when I sort of conceived of doing this at all, I wanted to just sort of do some sort of comprehensive look at these women, because I would see, like, random comments that were made about them when they came up in conversation, and I would just think, that's not right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know the good matches that she had because you weren't watching them. You know what I mean? And so I felt like I'm I really feel like I'm the only one who can do this because it's what I've been watching and paying attention to and writing about, like, my whole, a life, basically, like my whole adult life, certainly. So I just sort of, I went through everything and watched it all again to make sure. And it's just, I have so much genuine love and appreciation for what they do as wrestlers, and I want everyone to know about it, because nobody does, nobody seems to. And that's what I kept thinking to myself. I would watch something like amazing happen, and I would just think, I have to tell people about this. Mm-hmm. Like, people should know, and it goes for so many of the girls. And I could pretty much, like, if anyone has a request, like, you just tell me, like, write, 1,000 words on, and I'll probably be able to do it, because
And it just, yeah, it seems like people are making the wrong arguments, too, when they criticize the body of work of someone like, let's say, Kelly. Okay, let's perhaps agree that did she always have the best matches, the same caliber of matches as someone like, I don't know, Sasha and Bayley getting a 30-minute Iron Man match? Certainly not, but
how could she,
How could she? She was never put in a position to do that. Never given that opportunity. You can't make those opportunities for yourself. This is a business where you basically have to work with what you're given. And I know that's maybe not a popular thing to say, but it's the reality, especially when it comes to this crop of women who were treated in such a way that is, inferior and just unfair in comparison to their male counterparts. And it just seems like so many wrestling fans, critics, what have you, are kind of unable to step outside of their little insular circle jerks and recognize the realities of this situation for the women versus the men. I mean, people will make all the excuses in the world why certain male performers did not have a great match and will not extend that same courtesy or privilege to the women. And it's bullshit. And I'm glad that you are recognizing that, especially for this era where people just kind of, I don't know, want to paint it with a broad brush and forget about it. But the fact is, the women's revolution came from something. I mean, we kind of had to get through a period to get where we are today, and it deserves some credit for, the work that these performers put in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's my takeaway. Like if anything, is just like there was all this good work going on in these circumstances. If you just look for it, and just look at it as a wrestling match, and that's sort of what I'm doing. Like looking at all these individuals and saying, here's what she was capable of. Here's what she actually could do. And so that's my goal, I guess. Waving the flag a bit, but I'm just I'm having a blast doing it, and I'm just glad that anyone is enjoying reading it. So
yes, please keep doing it. We will keep loving it, I'm sure. A couple of other things to love on PlaceToBeNation.com is our super cool greatest 80s song tournament.
Ooh, yes.
So this massive, over 600 songs, 80 songs, and so they're broken up into pools. So we release 3 pools a day, and you can vote on 5 songs on each pool. And so we will do that and then narrow the list until we come to a collective decision about the greatest 80s song. Now, a lot of people have had a lot of trouble with this.
I know.
And I must be weird, because most days when I'm casting my votes, I'm just like, I don't have that much trouble picking out the good songs.
I mean, you have to pick, 5 out of
10.
However, 10, yeah. So, I mean, you have a lot of options there. And granted, I am like probably 2 or 3 days behind on voting. I need to get back on that. But, I mean, there are links to all of the songs in the form of their music video. We're available on YouTube within these articles on placetobenation.com. So if there's any that you don't necessarily recognize the name or the artist, you'll find the video just below and can refresh your memory and go, oh, yeah, that's what that song is. And you might find yourself voting for it. But, yeah, I don't find it too difficult getting to my 5. I mean, there's always like, I would say 3 that right away you're going, oh, yeah, I'm going to click that for sure. And you're sort of waffling on a few, but you're kind of like, well, I don't know. It's between this or that, it's not that important to me which one advances, so I'm just going to go with my personal fave kind of deal. Mm-hmm. So I haven't struggled with it as much either, but boy, some rounds, some pools, I should say, this is all round 1, you know. Some pools are certainly more competitive than others. So,
It always sparks interesting discussion, I will say that. You know, which is part of the deal, right? It's part of what we're going to do is, just have people get involved in it. So, right. I think that's pretty cool. There are lots of cool things on placetobenation.com. Lots of written stuff and links to all of our podcasts, one of those being a new Geek and Sassy that dropped a couple weeks ago. And so check that out. And then I will let you plug the other show.
Yes. So also on Place to Be Nation, you can find the Marvel Age podcast with myself and our intrepid leader and organizer, Nick Duke, Russell Sellers, and the manager, Todd Weber, going chronologically through the history of Marvel Comics. We are going through the top 10 stories, I should say, of each year of Marvel Comics publication history, breaking many years out to multiple episodes. I think from this point out, all of our episodes on Marvel Age are going to be at least 2-parters. We're going to be starting part 1 of the year 1966 coming up later this week. So look for that, I would say, within a matter of days of this podcast dropping. So 1966 coming up on Marvel Age. Companion podcast to that is the Marvel Age Masterclass with Ben Burtt, the former editorial director of digital media for Marvel, and he has a rotating guest from each episode of the Marvel Age podcast, just kind of a reaction show to what we discussed, Ben giving his own takes sort of from the inside of Marvel Comics during his decade with the company. So a lot of fun there. Both of those on Place to Be Nation.
What about that other show that you do?
The other show that I do is called Survey Says, a WCW retrospective. That's right, also in the world of wrestling. This you can find on the Place Nation wrestling feed. That's myself and Andy Helene looking at whatever topic we feel like looking at from World Championship Wrestling. Normally a monthly show. We've kind of ramped up our releases, commemorating the Summer of Survey Says hashtag, where we've gone to almost a bi-weekly schedule. So bottom line, you're getting that more frequently than usual. So look for that on Place to Be Nation Wrestling Survey Says. And we had you very recently on our last episode. So that was quite a treat.
You popped my wrestling podcast cherry, and
that's right.
It was. I don't regret it at all. It was wonderful. Enjoyed it very much.
But that is not the only wrestling podcast you have done recently.
Yeah, I got invited to board the Mothership Place to Be podcast, so I got to watch a show from Madison Square Garden in 1988. So that was a thing. that I did. No, I had like so much fun talking to Justin and Scott about that. And so check that out. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of plugs, y'all. But
I guess so.
We do have to like spit out our Twitter handles, I guess. I'm at Jenny Cruz, CRUZ 2814.
Yes, and I am at Psych68. That's CYKE68 on Twitter.
And Stacey, what is yours?
I am at Women's Sport Sid. Women's Sport SYD. Yeah.
Follow her for sure.
As I stalk the women that I write about on the DB Deep Dive.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Also, check out all of our podcasts on the Pop feeds, Hard Traveling Fanboys, Songs with Friends, Sunday Groove, all of those awesome podcasts. So, thank you again, Stacey. It was awesome, and I'm kind of sad.
We must have you back.
Yes, I'm kind of sad to end this one.
Gladly be back. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been awesome.
All right, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Those games that we play. So I sing you a new song. Please don't cry anymore. Don't ask for forgiveness, though I don't know just what I'm asking him for.